Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Sunday, October 22nd, 2023, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $sign ORION or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got Sunday Night Football. Miami Dolphins versus the Philadelphia Eagles. It could be a Super Bowl preview this year, next year, or possibly even the following year. I'm ready. We got a high explosive offense with the Miami Dolphins and a very well-balanced Philadelphia Eagles on the other side. Philly hasn't looked as good as they did maybe last year, but when you have a first-place schedule, things get a little bit tougher as the year goes on, and I'm ready for a great matchup on Sunday night. I hope everyone is having a fantastic weekend. Odin Son with a 40 before the stream even started. I appreciate you very, very much. Chiefs Kingdom in the building. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $40 holla. Let's go. Appreciate you, Odin Son. Much love. And I got Patrick Mahomes in fantasy. That was the first game that the Kansas City Chiefs actually looked like the Kansas City Chiefs from last year. Offense was clicking. It's National Tight Ends Day. Travis Kelce was good. Mahomes throwing for over 400 yards. I would know because I have him in fantasy. Rice is a stud. He might be their best wide receiver on the team. You got McCole Hardman back, making a few plays at wide receiver and special teams. Things are starting to come together. Now, if you could only play a shitty Chargers defense every week, then we would be able to see the elite Mahomes week in and week out. Big, big win for the Chiefs. And, for the Chargers, I don't really know if you thought you were going to win that matchup. They have a good football team, but every year you have bad coaching, you have bad play calling, and then also on top of that, you have a defense that's overrated. You have names out there like Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, but it just seems like they never can put it together, unfortunately. And the Chiefs finally got that dub. Good for them, because I was starting to get a little fed up, with Mahomes' fantasy performance. I'm very, very hard on certain players and especially certain teams that I expect greatness from. And they haven't really looked like their regular selves. But I guess, when things are going a little haywire, throw in a little bit of Los Angeles Chargers defense, and then Mahomes can rip them up. Pizzle in the building. Fins up, baby. Let's go. Definitely excited for this matchup. Daniel in the building. What's good? Sarah in the building. How are you? Let's go, baby. $40. 60 more to get the goal. And GG, to the Atlanta Falcons. It's really easy, to be able to wear the gear after a big win. You want to show it off and feel good. How you can really tell the different sports fans, is if you can still wear the gear after a tough loss. A lot of people get pissed, including myself, like when the Ducks played the Huskies and we lost. It's only natural, if you got a hat or a beanie or a jersey on and you're frustrated, you take it off and throw it on the ground and, yell at the wall or yell out the window, but at some point, that jersey's got to be put back on. The hat or the beanie needs to be put back on. And, Baker has been pretty efficient, but it also shows you with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this should be a division that is won by the Falcons or the Buccaneers, or possibly if the Saints can correct their problems with their O-line, their head coach, and their offensive coordinator. It's a three-team race, and it's not really one team that's kind of running away with it. I thought Tampa Bay, if they ended up winning that game against the Falcons, this morning, that would have given us a little bit of an advantage moving forward. And obviously falling short, and we had two goal line stops, one with the Drake London, doing kind of a somersault. He fumbled. It should have been probably a touchback, but they gave it back to him. But then he fumbled it on the next play. Ball don't lie, as Rasheed Wallace would say, and we got it back, but we didn't do anything with it. Then we had another touchdown that Ritter was going to score right at the goal line, and Antoine Winfield Jr. punched it out like Charles Peanut Tillman. We got that call, but unfortunately Baker was being Baker, and he got greedy. And in the fourth quarter, when we were only, down by like 3 points or tied up, all we had to do is go to Rachaad White and do a little check down. But he got greedy and started to throw into double coverage to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And, they got Terrell and they got some good corners over there. They made a big pick, and that was the end of me. So, you got to salute the Atlanta Falcons. Somebody's got to come out of the NFC South, with the crown. And I don't know who, honestly, it's going to be. At this point, we got to give the Falcons the leg up. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the team for the last couple weeks, but now I'll say the Atlanta Falcons at top, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2, and then the Saints below us, and then obviously the Panthers then at the very, very bottom. Man, these Kelly Greens are something else, aren't they? I'm very, very excited, and it took me over an hour, to be able to find, the right photos. I was trying to make sure I got, a nice white jersey, because I assumed that they were going to wear white jersey, white pants, or white jersey, teal pants with the Tua. And I was going to possibly do Tyreek, but I was like, we got to go with the quarterbacks in this one. And we haven't really done too many Dolphins matchups this year. So this will be exciting for me to be able to get a little bit of Miami Dolphins. I think this is the only second primetime game that they've had that I've done. And then with the Philadelphia Eagles, I could have did a regular, Jalen Hurts, but I had to go extra, and I had to dig and dig and dig and go through many, many, many different Kelly Green photos of the new photo shoot that they released. And a lot of them weren't formatting, but I finally found an awesome Jalen to be able to put on the thumb, so that way that we're keeping the theme. If someone's wearing a throwback jersey, whether it be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Kelly Greens with the Eagles, I got to make sure I go out of my way and put that on the thumb. And I thought it came out really, really well. Let's go. NWSF, baby, all day, every day. Lots of upsets today. And you know what? Even though I'm going to win in fantasy, I'm extremely pissed right now, because a lot of times, people think, okay, if you win, you win. But when I don't get any points out of my defense and my kicker, that really, really pisses me off, because I always try to get 20 points, 10 out of the defense, 10 out of the kicker. And then when I end up, trying to set myself up, and I get 1 point from the Bills defense, and then I get 2 points from Maher. He went 1 for 3, and he missed an extra point. And if he would have made those, they might have been able to end up winning that game, or at least going to overtime against the Steelers. And, Maher's been very, very good. He's the number 2 kicker in fantasy. 13, 13, 11, 14. They played the Eagles. He only got a 2. Then he got 15 last week, and then another 2 against Pittsburgh. And then he's going against the number 1 fantasy team next week with kickers, Dallas. So I can't use him next week unless I want to score 2 points. But with that Buffalo Bill defense, I am highly considering dropping them, because their defense is fucking terrible. You can't even beat the fucking Patriots. Like, you started off really strong last year in 2022, and I had you. Right, you started off with like 20 points, 15 points. Things were going good. But then Von Miller got hurt, and then you shit the bed pretty much the rest of the season, and I dropped you. And the same exact thing is happening again, where I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I'm looking at the Bills defense, and they're number 2 in fantasy because of 2 weeks. So first week against the Jets, 7. Second week against the Raiders, 11. Against the Commanders, 31. That's the reason why they're at number 2, right? But since week 3, listen to these shitty numbers: 7, 4, 6, 1. And one of them was against the Dolphins with a 7. Jags 4, Giants 6, New England 1. If you're playing the Giants in New England, and if the defense is halfway decent, you would be getting at least 7 points. But it shows you the Matt Milano, Tre'Davious White injuries, as well as a few others, has really hurt Buffalo. So I'm going to cut them. They're not going to be on my team anymore. If anyone else wants to struggle with them, go right ahead. Luckily, I picked up the Jets defense, early. So next week they play the Giants. It's the best matchup in fantasy. So I'm setting myself up, and then I'll probably pick up another defense on top of that. But nothing makes me more angry is when I end up getting my fantasy team and I see, 20, 30, 20, 30, 20, 20, and all of a sudden I see like a 1 and a 2. Thank God I'm still able to win. But it just for my personal, taste, that leaves a really bad taste in my mouth when you don't, get numbers in fantasy. But I'm going to get the dub. And everyone else on my team hit. And thank God, we ended up getting some good numbers with Mahomes today as well. Let's go, baby. Pizzle in the building, Toby in the building, Duval. And like I said, you're going to have good games and you're going to have bad games. The Ravens flock, they absolutely obliterated the Detroit Lions. Now, do I still think the Detroit Lions are a top 5, top 6 team? Yes. When you don't have David Montgomery and you go on the road, we also have to consider that the Ravens are probably a top 6 team, and they have been for the last couple weeks. So, we might have not mentioned them in the top 5, but right after the top 5, who are the few teams that we were going to be talking about? And I would say the Baltimore Ravens, in most people's eyes, were ranked 6th, 7th, or 8th, overall in the NFL. In some games, Lamar Jackson looks fantastic, like today, where he looks like an MVP candidate. But let's not forget earlier in the year when he ended up putting up a couple fantasy points. So there's going to be games where he looks really, really good, right? Tight end day, going to Mark Andrews, getting me fantasy points galore. And there's also going to be days where he goes on the road and doesn't have the benefit of the Ravens flock, and he looks like dog shit. So, we want to make sure that we're not overreacting too much. It's like also I love Michael Penix Jr., right? He played like dog shit, against Arizona State last night. He had no touchdown passes and 2 picks, and they were barely able to get the dub yesterday. And if you think about that, for a guy that was getting all the pub, they won literally number 5 seed Washington at home, not on the road. They only scored 15 points when they normally score 50, and they only beat Arizona State 15-7. That was a mind-blowing, type of game, but it shows you, even when you're elite, sometimes you play a shitty game at home or on the road. And Michael Penix Jr., he had his Heisman moment against Oregon. Then he had a little bit of an emotional letdown. 27 for 42, 275 yards, no tutties, and 2 picks with a QBR of 41.4. It wasn't as bad as Caleb Williams, who has a very bad record, obviously playing ranked teams. Can't beat Utah, 0 for 3 against them. 24 for 34, 256 yards, no TDs, no picks, with a QBR of 89.3. So, we're having all this anticipation, with Caleb and Drake May and Michael Penix Jr., but we want to make sure that we keep those emotions kind of tempered, because if these things keep going the way that they're going, this draft may be a bust. We're talking about, it could be better than Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson and Justin Fields and Mac Jones and Trey Lance. And remember how hyped that was. But the way that Michael Penix Jr., Caleb Williams, Drake May, they didn't really play good, this weekend. But we can't judge it just based on 1 week. But it's a little bit alarming when you end up seeing, these elite quarterbacks play good competition and then they don't really do well. What do you think the NFL is going to be? It's going to be even extra hard. So I hope that Caleb Williams pans out. I hope Michael Penix Jr. pans out. I hope Drake May pans out. I hope Quinn Ewers and Bo Nix and all these guys pan out. But there is going to be a strong possibility where we get some flops in this draft, and it also depends on who drafts these players, the coaching, and the supporting cast. Big facts. Kelly Greens are fucking beautiful. Let me tell you, they are absolutely beautiful. You could argue when we're looking at these Kelly Greens, they may be the best throwback helmet and jersey combo out of all of them. Tampa Bay's is up there with the creamsicles. The Seattle Seahawks 80s throwbacks are up there. The New England Patriots throwback uniforms are up there. The Houston Oilers, the Tennessee Titans is up there. But I really love this Kelly Green with the Kelly Green helmet. And I don't know if anyone has noticed, they did an extra shine on the helmet. So different lighting, different glare, and you get a little bit more brightness and darkness, brightness and darkness, depending on the angle and the lighting. I really like the helmet. It's really shining and popping. And this is going to be really, really big. I could see this game going both ways. Eagles could slow down the tempo, do the power I, run the football, right? And then try to bleed the clock out. When Tyreek has opportunities, they're going to be getting in the end zone pretty quick, as long as the defense doesn't get sack lunches or pressures. But we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. And even though they haven't been as good as last year, they're still one of the top 5 teams. And this is a top 5 matchup. Top 5, Miami Dolphins. Top 5, Philadelphia Eagles. Now, if this game was in Miami, maybe Miami would be favored. The game is in Philadelphia, so you assume that Philadelphia will be favored. But can Miami win on the road? You bet your ass they can. I'm very excited to see how this goes, and it's going to be one of the best matchups. It could be a Super Bowl preview this year, next year, or the following year. Very, very excited about this matchup. Hybrid in the building. What's good? And like I said, there's been some games where the Ravens look like dog shit this year. Lamar did not look good. But today, was one of the best games that I've seen, and it was like an MVP Lamar performance to get him back in the conversation. And it shows you, when things are flowing with Baltimore, they can actually be, one of the, top 4 teams, top 5 teams in the AFC. They're going to be right there with the Jags and the Dolphins, and the Chiefs. And obviously we got to scale the Bills back. So the Bills spot is gone, right? They're no longer there. Now the Ravens have the Bills spot, and so do the Miami Dolphins. So it's like Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Jags, right, and the Ravens. And then I don't even put Buffalo 5th because, hell, if you can't even beat New England, you're terrible. So big win for Jason. I know you love that, baby. I know. And it shows you defense wins games. Defense wins championships. It's not all Josh Allen, but you got to think if your defense can't stop a nosebleed and then you're inefficient, even if you're Josh Allen, you can't go to Stephon Diggs 25 times a game. And you don't have a very good running game either. I kept telling the Buffalo fans, instead of jumping into tables, how about you end up getting a good running back? I know you got, Cook, and, you got a couple guys there that you can kind of go back and forth with Latavius Murray, but it's not a top 10 running back. And now you're getting exposed because your defense is absolutely dog shit. So the Buffalo Bills' chances of going to the Super Bowl, let alone to do anything in the playoffs, gone. Now the Jags and the Ravens and the Dolphins have taken the spot, and they're now on the scene with the Kansas City Chiefs. And if the Kansas City Chiefs could play the Chargers every week, then hell, I would be getting 400, 500 yards with Mahomes. But if they play a good defense, obviously we know Mahomes isn't going to look as good, but it was nice for my fantasy to get Mahomes going again. Pizzle in the building. What's good? Let's go, baby. Fins up. Fins up. You got to be excited too. I think with the Miami Dolphins, there's still some things that need to improve. The offensive line and the defense. Now, is the offensive line terrible? No. Is the defense terrible? No, but it could be better. And if you want to end up being the top dog in the AFC, like the number 1 dog, like normally Buffalo or the Chiefs were, you improve that O-line, you improve that defense in the next 2 or 3 drafts, and then I think that there is a very good possibility that we're saying the Miami Dolphins are the best team in the AFC, with the Chiefs very close, but Miami is better down the road. And obviously I see the Jags, getting closer as well because I like the balance that they have with that offense and that defense. Big facts. Finley in the building. What's good? How are you, brother? The chances of all those 3 guys losing, and not only that, losing bad, not looking good. It was almost like watching week 6 in the NFL with the Niners and the Eagles losing. Like there's something in the air. They want to say, oh, it's scripted, but it shows you. If you go against a team that has a pretty good defense, or they bring their natty or Super Bowl effort to you and you take them for granted and they punch you in the mouth, or there's, maybe injuries that are unexpected, then anything can change in a game of football. There is no way in hell that the Lions should have lost that way to the Ravens, but they were on the road. They don't have Montgomery. And if you don't have Montgomery, that bruiser back to get the yards, you got exposed. Gibbs got his first touchdown, but the offense was out of whack. The sack lunches were very, very good. Roquan Smith and company did a bang-up job, and it shows you as good as that Detroit Lion top 10, top 5 offensive line normally is against the Ravens today. They look like they were a bottom 5 or a bottom 10. So, again, it's easier to win games at home than it is on the road. Now, if Detroit was at home and Baltimore was on the road, what do you think would have happened? There is a good chance that Detroit might have been able to squeak it out, or maybe the Ravens still do what they did today because they don't have David Montgomery. So it really shows you how important your superstar players are. David Montgomery is the heart and soul of the Detroit Lions. He is the heart and soul like Dan Campbell. If you don't have your heart and soul, Jared Goff isn't going to be good. Amon-Ra will get catches, but did he give me 2 or 3 touchdowns a day? No, he did not. Even Laporta being National Tight End Day, he didn't get in the end zone. I didn't start him because I didn't think that he would do very good on the road. Every game that Laporta has played on the road up to this point has been 7, 8, 9 points in fantasy. And I figured that he would get 9 or 10 points. He ended up getting like 12 and some change. And I had Mark Andrews in there, so I didn't lose any points. But it shows you, you have to be very, very balanced in this league, and anyone can beat anyone on any given Sunday, Monday, or Thursday. Big facts. Danny P in the building. What's good? Go Ducks, baby. We didn't look our best, against Washington. They deserved to beat us, right? But We ended up, getting our best game, our best foot forward. We were slow in the first half, and then we put our foot on the gas pedal in the second half, and we found a way to beat Washington State. And honestly, I don't really think the Ducks are going to be losing that many more games. The only games that I have concerns about is USC. At home at Autzen, which I think we're going to win. But the one game that really, really worries me is against the Beavers at the end of the year, the Civil War. That's the one that really makes me nervous because we could beat USC by 3, 7, 10, 20, whatever, or maybe they end up beating us, but I think that we can beat them, right? But the problem is against Oregon State, no one's really talking about them. I've watched every game they've played this year. They're very disciplined. They got good quarterback play from Ugalele, transferred over from Clemson. They got a good running game with Martinez. They got a good defense. So that will be the one that I'm really excited to watch at the end of the year. And hopefully we don't have one loss, play the Beavers, and we lose. But you never know. If the Beavers beat us, good for them. It's about time that we had both schools in Oregon do well, the Beavers and the Ducks. What's good, brother? My boy, Matt Payton. Go Ducks, brother. Texans and Panthers, Bubba. Well, on the road. They were on the road, right? The Ravens defense came out flying. And if you don't have a good running back, right, to be able to kind of, manage the, the hard times, I have Montgomery in fantasy, so I should know. All right. So I have Jay Jetta on IR. That's hurting me. I'm still 5-1. I'm still in first place, scored the most points, given up the least. So you can't make excuses. I have no Jay Jetta. I'm the only one out of everyone in the league that doesn't have their first round pick playing. I'm still winning. I have David Montgomery. That's my RB1, not playing. You got to find ways to be able to not make excuses and get the dubs. But again, with the Lions, if you don't have your stud running back, you just can't expect Gibbs and the rest of the guys to go in there and get it done. And it shows you, some games, you're going to have Lamar look like an MVP. But let's go back and look at some of his stats earlier in the year. He didn't look very, very good. I'll pull up his stats right now in fantasy. And like I said, yeah, he looked like an MVP today. All right. But let's take a quick peek, at Lamar and what Lamar has done prior to today getting, he's 7th ranked fantasy quarterback, right? Which is pretty good. First game out of the gates against Houston, 169 yards with 6 points in fantasy. Is that good? Fuck no. But then he improved to 22, 28, 28. That's MVP caliber. Then he dropped all the way down to 9 against Pittsburgh. Shitty. Tennessee, 17, dog shit. And then he got the 33 today. So remember, everyone loves to overreact. Oh, Lamar, MVP. But what did he do the last couple weeks? It all depends if you're at home or on the road as well. So there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be bitching and moaning and complaining. But, like I said, when the Eagles lost last week and the Niners lost, I still thought that they were top 5 teams. Now we just have to move around our pecking order, from 1 through 6, and then we'll be moving those pieces a lot throughout the year. All right, the Eagles get the kick. Go, baby, go. God, those Kelly Greens look fire. The Dolphins jerseys look fire, too, with that turquoise blue, with those pants. Those look fire, too. Steelers? Hell no. Are you on crack? Steelers? Hell no. Yeah, well, Montgomery is the better back. He's the bell cow. You know what I'm saying? You got one guy who's like a third down back that's a pass catcher, that could be the change of pace back. But you can't have Gibbs be your starting running back. He's going to get hurt, and he'll get fucked up. Ertz, hands off to Swift. There we go. And remember, out of the top teams, you want to be able to see good balance. Sometimes the Ravens have good defense, but shitty offense. Sometimes the Dolphins have really good offense, shitty defense. The Chiefs sometimes have good offense and sometimes shitty defense, but today it looked pretty good. Good offense, good defense. Ravens, good offense, good defense. But you're not going to play like that every week. The Jags, if you actually look at their team and how they've been playing, they have had the most consistent offense and defense out of any team in the AFC week in and week out. But no one's going to consider them the number one team in the AFC yet. But they're definitely in consideration with the Chiefs, right? The Jags, the Dolphins, those are the main dogs. And now we have to put the Ravens up there as well. And then you still got, the Eagles, the Niners, and the Lions in the NFC. And then there'll be other teams that will be moving up and down, from week in and week out. But I don't think we really believe in anybody else in the NFC. You'll have Seahawks, you have Buccaneers, Falcons, Cowboys. But, I mean, any of the other teams are not really championship caliber in my eyes. Injuries are a motherfucker. And if you don't have certain players, don't act like the Lions went in there with a healthy David Montgomery and got fucking smoked. That didn't happen. Don't act like the Niners had McCaffrey and Debo and Trent Williams the whole game and they lost to the Browns. You got to understand when injuries happen, you're going to lose. That's just how it goes. Lots of games get decided by 7 points or less. Shotgun set. There we go. Nice stick. Good hit right there. That might be a false start on the offense. But there's going to be a lot of overreaction, especially when you're a very, very good team. Remember, in the NFL, the best teams, the elite teams, lose 3, 4, 5 games in a season. You're not going to go perfect. And the longer you go undefeated, then the more people are going to overreact when you lose to a shitty team. But it shows you even some of the shitty teams can beat an average team. Even a shitty team can beat a good team. Even a shitty team can end up being an elite team. But sometimes a shitty team isn't really shitty if they actually have a good or an elite defense. Maybe their offense stinks, but like the Browns, but maybe the defense can hold them into games here and there. So a lot of times you got to see what the defense looks like. And if you get an upset by the Jets or the Browns, why do you think they won the fucking game? Against the Eagles and the Niners last week. Defense. It wasn't fucking Zach Wilson. It wasn't the fucking offense. It was the defense. Defense wins games. Defense wins championships. But I got some good points. Mahomes with almost 34. Rashad White finally stepped up for me with 16. Jalen Warren with 10. Amon-Ra with 23. Mike Evans with 20. Mark Andrews with 23, 22. Keenan Allen had an off day for me because he didn't get the ball as much. He had 9.5. And then Bills D gave me a 1 and Maher gave me a 2 at kicker. So your boy's going to make changes. I hate putting up, less than 10 points combined. Normally I'm trying to get 10 points out of the defense, 10 points out of the kicker. But when I get 3 points combined, I am lucky that I didn't play one of the top end guys. I would have lost. I would have lost. So even with all those great numbers from my receivers and my tight end Mahomes, sometimes, if you put up shit at the kicker and the defense, that's the beginning of the end for you. What happened to my hands? 40 doll hairs. Shep in the building. What's good? GG today, bro. I watched that whole game. Baker, got a little bit greedy trying to throw it downfield. If he just would have went to Rashad White for a couple checkdowns, I think we would have went to overtime or we would have beat you guys. It was very back and forth. You had that Drake London somersault, which could have been considered a touchback, but they gave it to you. But what happened? Rasheed Wallace said, ball don't lie, and you guys fumbled on the next play. We got it back. So obviously I think it was a touchback. And then on the next one, you had Ritter going down the sideline. Antoine Winfield Jr. doesn't give up on plays, maybe like some of your favorite players, not you, Shep, but our favorite players in general that sometimes take plays off. Boom, punched it out. We got the ball, but we weren't able to get enough points. And Baker, has been decently efficient, but it shows me I can't have Baker Mayfield as my quarterback for the next 3 to 4 years. If he's my starting quarterback this year, fine. There we go. Goddard, baby. First down, Eagles. But I need someone better. Like I said, there's just so many throws that were missed by Baker Mayfield. It's just unexcusable. But again, it's going to be a 3-team race between the Falcons, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the New Orleans Saints. My big problem is the running game. Saints' big problem is their O-line, their head coach, and their play calling. And I think the big problem for Atlanta is Desmond Ritter. The consistency that you're going to be able to get there. And you didn't even have Bijan barely get the ball. Floater, Goddard again, National Tight End Day. First down, Eagles. But GG, I ain't going to complain or bitch or moan. Ritter is another guy like Baker, not good enough to be the Atlanta Falcon quarterback. You need someone better. I don't know if that's Shedeur Sanders or someone else, but I think both of our teams deserve someone better. Are they good for now? Fine. But I don't think anyone thinks that anybody from the NFC South is winning a playoff game this year. You know, the Seahawks have a better chance of winning a playoff game, or maybe even the Cowboys rather than us. And they have flaws as well. Jalen with a keeper, and he goes down. But GG, bro. But other than that, I don't really see a whole lot of issues. Offensive line, needs a few more pieces. Defense needs a few more pieces, but you guys play good at times. Hopefully things are going good for you. I know you've been going through a lot of drama, work, and other things that are going on. Support could be better. Like I said, some streams, we're hitting good numbers. Others, we're not. And sometimes we have people show up, and other times we don't. And it's hurting the channel. We need the mods and the goats and the regulars to fucking show up. Because if the mods and the regulars and the goats can't even show up on a regular basis, then why the fuck is anybody new to the channel going to show up? If we're not actually setting the example, if we want to actually grow, we're not at 20 subs, we're at 20,000. We need to act like it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I am glad to see you in the room, bro. It's been a minute. Yeah, fantasy owners that ran Bajan were like, what the hell? Didn't even have any looks in the first half. But if it was an illness, then that was a personal choice. 3rd and goal, trips left, shotgun set for Jalen Hurts. No tush push from the 9-yard line, too far away. Look at him. He's still going to run. What's the point of doing that play? You're going to run a quarterback draw against a defense that's sus, right? That far away? 9 yards away, that's the best play call you got? Jesus Christ. That's the best play? What, you just thought that, Jason Kelsey and everyone else was just going to block a big hole big enough for a fucking freight train that you were just going to walk in? Jesus Christ. I mean, that's why a lot of people don't think that the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl this year. They have a pretty good team, but they have a first-place schedule, and we're going to see how they really are in the next 8 games. Because out of these next 8 games, field goes up, and it's good. Out of these next 8 games, they have a potential chance to lose 3 of them. I'm not saying that they will, but the schedule looks pretty fucking tough. And they're not going to be as dominant as they were last year. I mean, if you got a 4th-place schedule, 3rd-place schedule, yeah, you can win 12, 13, 14, maybe even 15 games on a 4th-place schedule or 3rd-place schedule, and you're overachieving. But if you have a 1st-place schedule, it ain't going to be as easy. 3-0 Eagles. No, it's all good. I mean, I don't really worry too much necessarily about you, Shep, or Cyber. You know what I mean? But it would be good to be able to see both of y'all in the streams a little bit more. But if you guys are working and you guys got shit going, I understand, because you guys definitely support on a heavy level. You show up when you can. You donate heavy when you can. You know what I mean? But it's just like, if we want to be able to, grow, and I'm putting in all this work doing reaction videos. I haven't taken a fucking day off in months besides going to the Duck game. Like, there's not a lot of people that are going to work as hard as me, week in, week out, day in and day out. And if we want to be able to get into the algorithm, we need to be able to get those likes, 20, 30, 40 each stream. We need to be able to get, people to watch the reaction videos, comment on them, like them, share them. We need to do more, as NWSF. And I feel in 2022, a lot more effort was being put in. And obviously we had more heavy hitters that were present. Some of those heavy hitters are not present anymore, but if you guys care about me and care about the channel and the growth, and you don't want me to stuck here, we need to be able to, as a group, do better, and that's just the fucking truth. I'm not happy about it. You know what I mean? I mean, would you be happy if you're grinding and grinding and grinding, and then you do like a 4-hour stream and you end up with a fucking $1? This is my full-time job. I'm not doing this just for fucking fun. I sacrificed a Jordan rookie, worth fucking $30,000, $40,000. Did I sacrifice that Jordan rookie for $1, in donos for a stream? I mean, it's a little ridiculous. No one else that has this type of sub count gets treated this way, period. If you look at any other sports YouTuber or wrestling YouTuber that's out there that's at 20,000 subs or more, nobody besides me gets treated this way, and I want that to change. Things need to get better. Likes, subs, shares, donos, comments. I mean, the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't something that needed to be addressed. You know, a lot of times people are hush about it. They don't say, you know, how many donos they're at, or, you know, or what the sub count is at. But again, you know, I've already been working extra hard to kind of get out of the gutter and to get into the algorithm, you know, and obviously, you know, being not in the algorithm for like 5 years, most people would have quit. You know, I've been doing this shit for fucking 11 years. You know what I mean? This is my 7th year on YouTube. I'm not going to ever quit. But, you know, if we're ever going to be able to get into the algorithm and do better, we need to do better as a group. And obviously, if people have mental health and they're going through some stuff, instead of ignoring the channel and the people that are a part about it, how about show up and we'll actually make your day better? You know, because a lot of the people that are going through mental health and going through certain issues, if you actually show up here, you're going to be able to actually feel better rather than avoiding this room or avoiding all YouTube channels. That's not going to make your life better. You know, things are tough as it is anyways. And if we can comfort each other and make, you know, things better, you know, then we're going to be able to be in a better mental health space instead of just avoiding everybody on YouTube or avoiding this channel. And then all of a sudden you're in a deeper hole. You know, if you just show up and hang out, you know, we can make things better. But it's all a personal choice on what people do. Big facts. I fucking do. And Sarah does as well. You think me and Sarah deserve grinding, and I'm sitting at a fucking 0? You know what I mean? If I had like 2 subs or 20 subs, fine. I'm brand new. I'm just trying to, you know, find my way. But when I'm one of the best in the world in what I do, it's like kind of disrespectful. You know, it's like I feel underappreciated for all the time and the effort and the energy that I put in. You know, no one should deserve that. And if someone else is in the room that had 20,000 subs and is in my shoes, you would understand. You know, it's just ridiculous. You know, we need more effort, you know, by a collective unit. You know, for me and Sarah to grind, and then we're at like $1, like $1. You know what I mean? Like the shit is fucking pathetic. You know, like I said, if I'm a shitty YouTuber, whatever, but I'm not. You know what I mean? And so we need to be able to make some fucking changes. Big facts. $5 holla, JSN. There we go. Appreciate you. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $5 holla. Let's go. Let me know what photos you want, and I got you. There we go. Yeah, it's much appreciated. I mean, you got to think, we're not one of these channels that just streams whenever we want to. We're not fucking average. We're not fucking lazy. You know what I mean? Like the amount of time and effort that it takes to be able to get a stream going, and I'm fully producing the show all on my own. You know what I mean? And then you got Sarah trying to do all the other logistics and everything else. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it takes an hour and a half to do a fucking thumbnail, and you know what I mean? And to be able to make the appearance of the channel look better as well. It's not like the channel has gone backwards based on the aesthetics and how it looks, you know? Everything has been improved, from the scoreboard to the look of the channel to the thumbnails, you know what I mean? Like everything. It's like the last piece that we're missing are people that are going to be reliable and that are going to support. Bottom line, that's what it is. I mean, there's going to be a lot of times where, you know, me and Sarah, you know, are frustrated. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like I expect to make hundreds of dollars on every fucking stream. I know that's not realistic unless we have heavy hitters present in the room every day. But remember, you know, people act like, you know, this is crazy. We hit 200 every day for like fucking 6 months. So to be able to hit something like that, some people are present, some people are not. But to go from that to where we are, you know, to hit 200 or more in donos every day for like 6 months and then to hit like a fucking dollar. I mean, you let me know. How would you feel if this was your channel and that happened to you? Probably wouldn't be too happy about that, you know? That's facts. We just need to do better as a group. 3rd down and 15. And if I didn't think that this is something that needed to be addressed, I mean, I wouldn't fucking talk about it. But Tua? But it's not like I'm going to personally message every person, that I'm close to and saying, the streams are dog shit. We're not getting to support. I need you in here. Everyone's got their own lives. Everyone's working and doing their own thing, but sometimes, we need to be able to let people know where things are at. I don't know. I feel people take us for granted. I really do. And the only thing that we're missing is just eyeballs and bodies. The more people that we actually have, like if we ended up getting not even necessarily rated, but if we ended up getting the same amount of eyeballs as far as some of the other channels that are bigger that do NFL, I know they would be a part of this channel. It's not like they wouldn't. You know what I mean? And that's why a big reason why some of these other guys avoid doing collabs, because they're afraid that I'm going to end up taking their heavy hitters and they're going to become my mods and they're going to start donating here instead of donating to them. It's a little petty, you know what I mean? But they know who's good and who's not. Oh, it's all good. You do everything that you can do. And we just got to pray and hope that we can end up hitting the algorithm and we can end up getting more and more people and obviously getting heavy hitters to replace the ones that aren't here anymore. I mean, this is like my life. This is my legacy. This is not fucking for fun. I didn't sacrifice a Jordan rookie that's going to be worth over $100,000 just to fuck around. I mean, that's not what the purpose of this channel is. It's to be able to help people out, have a good, safe place, talk sports and wrestling, and not be biased and go over fantasy football and everything else. 3-0 Philadelphia. Let me know any photos that you guys want to see, and I got you. Yeah, and like I was saying too, even for like mods, even if people are busy, but if I'm streaming every day for like 3 to 4 hours, right? How much effort does it really take to come in and say, "What's up? Hey, I'm busy. I'm working. I can't stay long. What's up?" And then you dip. It's like doing a phone call or a text message. You either make the effort or you don't. You either like a stream or you like a post or you share it or you fucking don't. You know what I mean? And I feel that we've had way too many people just fucking just be lazy about it. Like, oh, whatever happens to whatever happens. But then what happens one day if I say fuck it and I quit and then there's no channel anymore? Then fucking what? We have to make sure that we're taking care of the people that are taking care of you. Which would be me and Sarah. So I don't like feeling taken advantage of and taken for granted. Big facts. Because I'll tell you what, if I ended up not doing streams ever again, a lot of people would suffer. I'll tell you that. I'm gonna grab a couple Pete's here. And I don't know if Odin's son is gonna make a drop in here, but when he does, I was talking to him during the Chief game. We were watching it together and just kind of messaging each other and whatnot. But I'll throw up some Chief photos up here in a second. Handoff, short game. Carolina traded the pick, so it would be the Bears. They wouldn't even be able to have the pick, Shepard. If the Bears keep doing shitty, they could end up getting the first and second pick, or second pick and third pick. They traded up to get Bryce Young, so. Like if you actually looked at, I know you've been busy and you probably haven't looked at a lot of like the mocks or been on Twitter or Instagram and whatnot, but they've been comparing on a lot of them, like, oh, maybe Caleb and Marvin, and maybe they'll go that route or something of that nature. But there's so many bad teams. I don't really know. I don't think we really know where we're going to be, as far as the teams are concerned. So third down and 8, shotgun set. Jalen scrambling, gambling. Uh-oh, fumble. He coughed it up. And that's been a problem this year. Nice job by Christian Wilkins there. I mean, imagine if you were miserable enough to go to that stream and watch Broncos and Packers 1917. Jesus Christ. But sometimes, if you act a certain way, and you think things are going to be good forever, and then you end up, losing, a quarterback or certain players, and then you start to realize that the organizations are dog shit. So things aren't going to get better for Denver or Green Bay anytime soon. Tua, nice little fake there. Tyreek with the speed. Lots of upsets. And that's why the NFL is fun every week, because it's like almost fucking impossible to like predict. Even if you have ESP, I can predict like plays and whatnot, but I mean, I feel that like as far as like the games themselves, straight up, not even with the spreads, I mean, it's very, very difficult. Halfback toss. Ooh, nice tackle. Hassan Reddick. .313 left in the first quarter. Third down and 9. Shotgun set for Tua. Shotgun set. Floater. Wide open. First down, Dolphins. Move the chains. All right, Miami knocking on the door. You can almost feel like they're going to get obviously a minimum of 3, but it kind of feels like a touchdown is on its way soon. But you're not going to get it running the football. You run the football on the Philadelphia Eagles, you're not going to get a whole lot. You got to be able to throw the ball to Waddle, right, or Tyreek. I mean, think about how much of a dog shit team your team would have to be if you're a Packer fan and you lose to the Broncos. Just think about that for a second. Oh, we're going to be great. We're going to be great. Jordan Love, we're going to be great. Don't look that great to me. Can't even beat the fucking Raiders or the Broncos. Not good luck. But that's what happens when you talk shit for, years and years and years about the Vikings, Lions, and the Bears. Eventually that shit will come back to bite you. And then you'll just be in misery with that fan base, forever. You reap what you sow. That's why it's always good to be humble and not be biased. But it shows you anybody can beat anyone, in any given Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, and then injuries, can change the game too. 3rd and goal. Come on, Tua. Oh, there it is. Touchdown. Dolphins. You can't stop Tyreek one-on-one. There it is. There it is, Shep. Bang, bang. But there's a flag. Is it a hold on the line? Damn it. Oh, brutal. And now they're not going to be able to get a touchdown. Now it's going to end up leading to a field goal. Because once you have a touchdown off the board, the chances of getting the touchdown again is pretty slim. It's like 10%. Could they still get one to Waddle or Tyreek? Yes. But emotionally, it usually takes a little time to get over that. That's tough. And nobody can fucking guard Tyreek one-on-one. If you got Waddle, Tyreek, and Tua, and the offensive line does their job, they can compete with anybody in the NFL. It's just that offensive line and defense, what are they going to do for Miami throughout the game? 3rd and goal. Let's see if Tyreek can, have another opportunity here. Nope. See? Your boy knows analytics and statistics, man, because the way that it goes is like when you have a big play, you have something really good happen to you, and then someone takes it away from you. Can you get over it in 30 seconds? Fuck no. You're not going to be over that in 30 seconds. It takes time. Will Tyreek get in the end zone for Shep today? Yes, he will get in the end zone today, but probably not until the second half. Let's see if Jason Sanders can hit this field goal to tie it up. 40-yarder. He should be able to make this. Kick is up, and it's good. Yeah, I mean, even if it was a little ugly, we were talking about JSN, remember? And we were like, oh, maybe bust. It doesn't really look very good. But how many targets is he getting? He actually got some targets, and the sports gods listened, and boom, he got a touchdown. So I'm happy for JSN. I'm happy that the Hawks won, and it shows you, with Tampa Bay and the Saints and the Falcons, there is no contender in the NFC South. And then, the Giants are terrible. Obviously we know with the Commanders, they're terrible. The Cowboys are kind of like the Seahawks, except I think the Seahawks are better. I think that both the Cowboys and Seahawks are like underneath, the Lions and, the Eagles and the Niners as far as like depth and talent. But if we have injuries to the Niners, Eagles, and the Lions, and their key players, then you may see Dallas and Seattle creep up a little bit closer. And from week to week, they may get up into the top 3. And then one of those top 3 teams may slide down a little bit, like the Lions. If they drop a couple in a row, they slide down. Maybe Seattle slides up, or maybe Dallas slides up. But I don't think anyone really believes in Dallas, in the playoffs. But if I had to put another team up there, I would put Seattle up there. So I would put, you got the Eagles, you got the Niners, you got the Lions, even though they got destroyed today. And then I got Seattle. I would say that Seattle over Dallas because I have more trust there. And then Dallas probably over them, and then nobody in the NFC South. And then obviously NFC East, you got Eagles and obviously the Cowboys in the North. It's kind of dog shit up there besides the Lions, and then obviously we know it's Niners and the Seahawks. So, you got one team, Lions, nobody in the South, and then 2 teams in the East and 2 teams in the West. And then on the AFC side, obviously we know the Chiefs look good, but again, this is the first game where they actually look like a complete team. Offense, O-line, defense, D-line, turnovers. Rice looked good. He's their best wide receiver on the Chiefs. McCole Hardman is back. That's giving him a little bit of a lift and a boost, right? Travis Kelce, tight end day, everything that's kind of going on. So it's like you can tell the Chiefs look like the Chiefs from last year. The Bills are no longer a contender. They're out of there. Then Miami slides up with the Chiefs. The Jags are right there, as well as the Ravens. So kind of like with Megan's 2 favorite teams, the Ravens and the Seahawks, sometimes they're going to play really, really good. Other times they're going to play really, really bad, right? But we have to look, how does the product look overall? Yeah, the Seahawks lost, to the Bengals on the road. It's hard winning on the road, but they were able to come back and get a win on a game that they should have at home. So, and obviously we know the Cardinals are not really a good team, but still it's kind of a trap game, right? So you got to be able to look at that. Oh, Lions, big wins. Oh, they got destroyed, but they were on the road and they didn't have their starting running back. So if you think about it, in your favorite team, if you don't have your starting running back playing, and if he ends up being a top 10 running back, what are the chances that you win the game? Probably not very good. So, oh, baby. There we go. First down, Eagles. I know. You know what? If you would have not benched Lamar, you might have been able to beat me, or at least got a little bit closer. And then you did a really good job with Deontay Foreman because obviously we didn't really know how many looks, with Roshan ended up having the concussion. So with that, he could have ended up getting 5 to 10 points. That was like kind of the projection. Maybe on the low end 5 and on the high end maybe 10 or 11, and then explodes for 3 tutties and 30 plus points for you. So if you would have had Foreman and Lamar, you would have gotten like 60 some points just out of 2 guys. So, sometimes it's just bad luck, and you make a mistake. And we do that all the time in fantasy. Sometimes you think a guy is going to do good and then, maybe he doesn't do as good. Like when you put Lamar in the very beginning of the year and he got you 6 points. So it's not like Lamar has been getting, 30 points every week, but he is a guy that should be in the MVP, consideration. But again, Lamar needs to be more consistent, and he has been since week 1. Still had like a dud game kind of sprinkled in, but he's been getting over 20 points, like 3 out of the last 4. He's been looking pretty good. And then obviously this was the breakout game, but also it was because it was National Tight End Day. Mark Andrews, 2 tutties. Anytime Mark Andrews gets tutties, they're going to win the game, and I got Mark Andrews, so I would know. There we go. First down, Eagles. Yeah, anytime you bench something that would give you a chance to win and they put up 30, 40, 50 points, you don't feel good about it. You're like, damn it, what was I thinking, And sometimes it's like, analysis by paralysis or paralysis by analysis. Like you're breaking things down in your head and, like trying to do things like how I do it. And I'm thinking about all these scenarios, these matchups. Okay, maybe I don't really believe in Sam Howell that much, but the Giants aren't very good. Maybe Sam Howell will have 20 points in fantasy. Maybe Lamar has a little bit of an off day because the Lions have been good. I kind of see where you were coming from. But then who would have thought Sam Howell would have went like 1 for 15 on 3rd down or something like that? It's like you never really know how these games are going to be played out. But I think now moving forward, regardless, you're probably going to be starting Lamar for the rest of the year. Now, there's going to be some bad games where Lamar only puts up 5 points and you might lose, but there's going to be games where Lamar puts up 20, 30, 40 points, and you're going to feel good about that, even if you end up losing that week. So you didn't expect the Lions to lose? I kind of did because no Montgomery. I have him in fantasy, so it's like I don't have my number 1 receiver in Jay Jetta. I don't have my number 1 running back. And then my number 2 running back I got rid of with Ramondre Stevenson, and then Shep picked him up. Probably should have hung on to him, but he just pissed me off. So after like a month, I just got rid of him. But I probably should have been more disciplined and kept him, and that would have helped me out. Instead of having to use like Jalen Warren and Rachaad White and Montgomery, just to have that other starting running back that will also shit the bed and put up 3, 4, 5 points. But also Ramondre Stevenson, if he gets in the offense, he can put up 10 to 20. But I just got upset. I waited long enough, and I didn't think that he was going to get any better. But I should have had a little bit more patience. But usually my patience is like 1 month. It used to be like 1 week. And if you do shitty, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You're off my team. And then I was like, okay, I got to be a little bit more smarter than that. Let me give him 2 weeks. And then you got to give him 3 weeks. But sometimes when you have other pieces that are out there, it's like a divorce, or like, breaking up. It's like, I don't know if this guy is going to get any better. And I can't just wait around, for him to go from 5 to 7 and 7 to 18. Like, what happens if he doesn't ever get that boost? I need to take my chances somewhere else. But the only problem is when you look on the wire, there's not a whole lot fucking out there. The running backs are fucking thin as shit. There's like, you're really reaching. Like when you're trying to get a running back on the wire, you're praying for like fucking 8 points. That's terrible. Like, oh, if I get Zeke Elliott, maybe I'll get 7.5. That's dog shit. I can't play that. But sometimes, you have to, have depth just in case of injuries. And Reflect has got like 8, 9 fucking running backs on his team. So he's hoarding all the good running backs there. If he didn't have all the goddamn running backs, then, maybe it would be a little bit more even. So, I mean, it's going to look like it's going to be maybe, I know I'm going. And then Reflect is going. And like I said, if Reflect has Jalen Hurts get injured, he's in trouble. But if Jalen doesn't get hurt all year, he'll probably win the championship with those running backs. So, unless my wide receivers can match his production, or I can get Jay Jetta to come back. But I need Jay Jetta and Montgomery bad, and it's just kind of crazy that I'm number one in the league and I'm missing out on a lot of my key pieces. It shows you how hard you have to work to make up, a David Montgomery or a Jay Jetta, and a lot of times you can't. Like, you're going from guys that would put 20 to 30 points up, and then I have to settle for guys that might put up 10 to 15, and a lot of times you'll lose. But I'm doing my best. But also, I've made a lot of fucking moves too. 74 moves. And some of them I'll make a move and then I go back and I'm thinking in my head, okay, I look ahead a couple weeks. I was like, can I use this piece now or next week? I don't want him. I want him. I don't want him. I want him. I don't want him. Or maybe I want this guy. So my brain is always like, I'm like fucking Elon Musk. I'm always fucking thinking of ideas, and my brain never stops. It's always going. And I'm always trying to find the advantage. 3rd down and 1, shotgun set for Jalen Hurts. Yeah, but if his running backs or Jalen Hurts get hurt, then other teams will be able to catch up. It's like when Chief was 5-0, and I told him, I was like, you're really top heavy. Your bench isn't very good, but you have number 1 quarterback at the time, Josh Allen, number 1 running back, Christian McCaffrey, and then you had a number 6 or number 5, Devontae Adams. And I said, if those guys get hurt, you're fucked. And then literally like the next week, all 3 of them got hurt. So not saying that I have control over the sports gods and whatnot, but like I said, if you're really top heavy, all it takes is an injury, and then all of a sudden you're number 1 quarterback, number 1 running back, and top 5, top 10 receiver. If one of them or 2 of them get hurt and you don't got anybody on the bench to replace that, you're fucked, and you're not going to be able to keep up. So that's why it's so important to have depth. So just in case your guys get hurt, you have other guys that you can fill in and at least put up good numbers. For real though. I mean, God, he's not even using goddamn Ford. I could be using Ford on my fucking team as my RB2. That would be a really nice piece for me to be able to use. And he's just sitting there fucking collecting dust as he's blocking everyone from using them. He'll never use them unless he has to. So. Nah, they ain't going to go with Tyrod Taylor, because it's all about politics and money. And if you ended up paying like $160 million for 4 years, you're going to go with Danny until the coach gets fired, or if they try to trade him, and I don't think anyone's going to want him. So that was a really stupid move on their part, thinking that Danny was good enough. But what happened is they made the playoffs. He ran the RPO. He actually was a good rusher last year. And so that's why they kind of fleeced. He fleeced them. They thought, oh, he's better. With this coach, Danny can actually be a top 16 quarterback, but it was Fugazi and it was fool's gold. 4th down and 1, tush push. 1st down, Eagles. Chef, did you see Chief Chiefs' ribs? Did you see the picture of the ribs that he ate? Did he send you the photo? He sent it to me. When did he send it? Last night or yesterday? It says at one of the spots in KC for barbecue. Gates Barbecue. But he said sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not as good, but got the little pickles and then the ribs and whatnot. Oh, man, I'll share it with you. Going deep. Incomplete. Here, hold on. Let me hold up. We usually it's both of us. You, me, and Chief. We're usually the ones that will go back and forth with the food photos and whatnot. So, yeah. But I told you, Megan, it's like you feel that maybe the NFL, and then you do fantasy, and then you realize, shit, I don't know anything. Like, I thought I knew a little bit, but then sometimes it's like a harsh reality for people. Like, your Seahawks, you might know some of the superstar players on other teams, but when it comes down to statistics, analytics, and going deeper, then you start to realize that, even myself, I'm learning week in and week out. And it's like, you have to be able to not look at popular names, which is very hard. to be able to look at a popular elite name and look at them and bench them and put in some no-name guy and pray for the best. But sometimes, that ends up working out if you end up doing your research or you're a little lucky. Sometimes you can have all the players, that have the highest numbers projected, and then they just don't play well. Oh, you're projected for 140, and then at the end of the week you're at 80, and you're like, what the hell happened? So that's what makes fantasy so tough. But I guarantee you're going to come out of this much, much smarter, even if you're struggling in both leagues. You're learning on the fly, realizing who actually is elite, who's good, who's underappreciated, and starting to find out some of those sleeper names, in football. It's not all about like the popular names. Sometimes you'll have like the Pukas that come out of nowhere that could be like a fantasy gem. You know what I mean? But you have to pay attention to the league. If you're not paying attention, to the league, you'll never know, about those type of players unless you're watching like Good Morning Football or you're a part of a channel like this, where we're actually going over offense, defense, O-line, D-line, special teams, sleeper players, Second down and 9. We're knotted up at 3. A big defensive battle here. Shotgun set. Jalen going to Goddard. Uh-oh, touchdown, Eagles. National tight end day, baby. No surprise there. Well, Puka wasn't really a risk because when people picked up Puka, he already went off. So when you saw someone that, was getting like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 targets, and the guy put up like 10 to 20 points, you already knew that chances are that they were going to keep going to him. So that was not a risk. You already saw that there was a chance where that guy could break out as long as McVay kept calling that guy's number, that guy was going to continue to put up big numbers if he kept getting the same amount of looks. Kick is up, and it's good. Well, week 1 was too early because week 1, it could have been a fluke, but by the time week 2 ran around and obviously you've seen them do the same thing again, then everyone is like clamoring, but sometimes you got to grab them, within the first 3 weeks. That's the most crucial part in fantasy because in the first 3 weeks, there's going to be people there that should have been drafted and there's going to be guys that emerge to be fantasy superstars. So sometimes when you lose early and you have higher priority on the wire, you can scoop up a player like that, and then you just have to pray that they don't get hurt. But if you're not active in the first couple weeks, it could really kill the fantasy team. Yeah, I think most people grabbed him week 2. Let me get a couple photos for Odin's son. Nice to see Patrick Mahomes dominate the league again. I mean, if he could just only play the Chargers, every single week. And I got some friends that are Charger fans, like my boy Joey, but goddamn, I mean, they are fucking so overrated. Like, Justin Herbert needs to play better. I know he's got the injured finger and whatnot, but the defense is absolutely terrible. It's like they got names every single year, but they never play good. And the coaching and the play calling is absolutely horrendous. Joey Bosa is even out there. Derwin James, are you even playing? Asante Samuel Jr., Khalil Mack, it's like, the Chargers might be able to do good against a shitty opponent, but if they play against someone good, it's like, they can't stop a nosebleed. It just sucks if you're a Charger fan. And on top of that, you got these like famous players, but then you never can put it together. You never can go to the playoffs and win a playoff game. You're wasting Eckler, you're wasting Keenan Allen, you're wasting Justin Herbert. It's like you're wasting the talent of a lot of these guys, which sucks. And the coaching and play calling and then the injury curse might be the worst in sports. Like I'm trying to think of a team that is more cursed in sports than the Chargers. Maybe besides the Broncos right now. But those are the two teams that are cursed the most. But I would say probably, those are the two highest by far. Like no matter what they do, the same shit keeps happening over and over and over. Very difficult to be a fan of those teams. National Tight End Day. And you always have to make a special attention when you see things like that, like National Tight End Day. Because if you actually have been paying attention over the last few years, when it is National Tight End Day, what happens? The quarterbacks go to the tight end 90% more than they normally do. And those guys typically, if they're good, will get in the end zone or they'll have a good fantasy number. I mean, I could have started Sam Laporta, but I just didn't think that he was going to do that well on the road. I thought the Raven defense was going to play great, and they did. But he still ended up getting like 12 points. Oh, for sure. And if you've noticed, like watching Bucks games, Chris Godwin gets some looks, but he doesn't get the right looks like Tom Brady was giving him. He's not very efficient. Most people are not even starting Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's on the bench, because he doesn't get as many looks as Mike Evans. Now, Godwin is still one of the best receivers in the league, but he doesn't get good ball placement from Baker. Baker's throws to him are like 40 yards downfield, but it's like a yard out of bounds. Godwin will catch it, but it's incomplete. It's like, come on, bro, you got to be better than that. So, and not Godwin be better, but Baker. But at least you got the win, man. Congratulations. I hope you guys win the division because it's probably going to be the Falcons or the Bucks. And that was a big, big win to get that going. Oh, you started Godwin, you got 15. Nice. Well, there you go. Most people don't, unless you're if you're thin at wide receiver, you're starting Godwin. If you're not, I know a lot of people have Godwin on the bench. But Godwin isn't putting up as many points as he did with Brady. He'll still put up 10 to 20, here and there. But there's also going to be some games where he puts up under 10 because fucking Baker doesn't give him the ball enough. Not good ball placement. But Mike Evans has been the better receiver. He's been the number one option. Tua? Wow, almost picked. AG in the building. What's good? Like Godwin is ranked 43rd out of receivers. That's not good, but he's averaging about 12 points a game. So I guess if you need a wide receiver too, it's not bad. 10, 10, 8, 19, 13, and 12. So I guess if that's wide receiver two numbers, that's actually decent. Over 10 points is what you want. But if Tom Brady was still playing, those numbers would be much, much better. 6, 8, 5, 11, 7, and 12 targets. But he hasn't had a touchdown all year. Now, if he would have had touchdowns, those numbers would have been very, very high. He would be much higher. Like, think about it. How the hell does Chris Godwin not even have a fucking tutty yet? We're like in week 7. It's unacceptable. Dolphins with the punt. Yeah, I would keep Godwin because even if he doesn't get touchdowns, he's still getting the targets. You know what I'm saying? He'll still get like 7 to 12 targets, and you can always use him as a wide receiver too. Or if your receivers get hurt, then you can plug him in. There's not going to be a lot of guys that are going to be on that type of level. So, I mean, unless you want to pick up a guy like Rice from the Chiefs, like that's a guy that has similar type of stats, except Rice is actually getting in the end zone. That's the best receiver on the Chiefs right now. Hell, I would have picked up Rice 2 weeks ago if I really needed wide receiver depth, but I don't. I got Jay Jetta on IR, but I got Keenan Allen. I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. I got Mike Evans. Hollywood Brown hasn't been doing as good lately. You know what I mean? But I'm probably still going to hang on to him. Yeah, and even though I'm going to get the dub, seeing a 1 out of Buffalo D, not on my team anymore, and then Maher with only a 2, that's not good. 1 for 3, and you missed an extra point. That's not good, Maher. And he's the number 2 kicker in fantasy. So it's like he does good, but he misses kicks. But 13, 13, 11, 14, 2, 15, 2. So he's only had 2 bad games, but when they're bad, they're really bad. And then they play Dallas next week, so I can't fucking start him. So, and defense is like a big thing for me. I'm a defensive guy. So it's like if I get under 10 points in fantasy on defense, I'm pissed. I'm not happy. Appreciate you, Odin son. But finally, Mahomes looking like that pick, that third round pick. I could have picked Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, and I went Mahomes. And I was starting to think I fucked up and made the wrong choice. But after today's performance and having Rice get involved, McCole Hardman back, Mahomes has a very good chance to climb and get better and better as the year goes on. The Chiefs can still make the Super Bowl, but the Bills aren't. But it's going to come down to the Chiefs, the Jags, the Dolphins, and probably the Ravens. It's going to probably be those four teams. They're going to be battling it out. Hill, Puka, Myers. Yeah, you got nice. You got a nice little collective unit there. Yeah, you got to take risks. You always got to, but you got to be smart about it. Sometimes, I take a risk and I made a mistake. I usually make a mistake or two a season, where I fuck up. Like I let go Ramondre Stevenson and, you picked him up, and I should have hung on to him. I shouldn't have dropped him, but, I can only take so much before I get pissed off. You know what I mean? And then, it's like my running backs weren't really that good to begin with. And I figured I'd be able to find someone else to get similar type numbers. And now Ramondre's actually putting up numbers now since you got him. I figured he'd be putting up like 5, 6, 7 points, so it wouldn't really hurt me as much. But then when I look at his numbers and he's putting up 10 to 20 now, I'm like, fuck my life. I should have kept him, especially now with Montgomery being hurt. So, second down and 10, 10-3 Eagles. There we go, A.J. Brown. Yeah, McCole Hardman was good, but it shows you, like, even with Juju and McCole Hardman, people think, oh, that doesn't make a big difference. Look at the vibe of Kansas City, just bringing back guys that were not even relevant, going to another team with McCole Hardman, and then you can go back to your old team with your old teammates and actually be like the player that you were and actually be fucking relevant and worth a damn, and obviously the Chiefs are missing key pieces at receiver. No McCole Hardman, no Juju, no Eric Bieniemy calling plays. Now you're bringing back McCole Hardman, and you feel like there's another sense of energy. But also, too, you're starting to realize that Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, they're not it, right? Rice is the new OG. Rice is the best receiver on the team. So now you got, Pacheco, Rice, Kelsey, and then you can bring a McCole Hardman back. Things are starting to get back to where they were. Second down and 7. -7 rushing yards for the Dolphins. Julio Jones. How quick before those hamstrings snap like spaghetti? I mean, I had him on Tampa Bay, but the guy can't play. He's only going to be able to last like 4 or 5 games, and then he's going to get hurt. So, he could be a decoy. He might end up getting a touchdown or two, but you can't really expect too much. Ultimately, it's just a decoy. Third down and 4. Like, why the hell are you going to go to Julio Jones when you have Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and A.J. Brown? You won't, unless, like, everyone's covered. Go, Jalen, go. Get that first down. There we go. Yeah, everyone's lacking in RBs because he's got all of them. He decided to, but he doesn't. He only has one kicker, one defense, and one quarterback. So if he has any injuries to Jalen, his team won't be as good. But if you look to see, if some of us need running backs, where are they? He's got Saquon. He's got Swift. He's got Mostert. He's got Breece Hall. He's got Dameon Pierce. He's got Ford. It's like, Jesus Christ, James Conner on IR. He's got like fucking all of them. It's like, I want some fucking running backs too. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of people that are on social media think that they know sports and they don't. It all depends on how much you read, how much you watch film, and if you actually played sports or not. And then you can definitely tell who knows ball and who doesn't. I would assume that 90% of people that are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and if they watch football, they think they're an expert. Everyone thinks they're a fucking expert. But we obviously know clearly that is not true. Yeah, but that's smart that he did that though. Jake did that last year before we booted him. He ended up having like 7 or 8 running backs. But the thing is, it's like it's either going to benefit you because you're blocking all the other teams from getting running backs to hurt you, and you have like 7 or 8 options to do out of running back one, running back two, and flex. So no matter what, you're going to have an off running back. 3 out of the 9 spots are covered. Unless you end up having an off week, like maybe with Mostert going against the Eagles today. But he's banking, that Jalen won't get hurt, and if Jalen doesn't, he might win the championship. With all those strong running backs, because I mean, if you got 7 or 8 running backs and all of them have the opportunity to get 20 to 40 points, that's big. That's like me having an advantage at wide receiver. With Jay Jetta, Amon Ra, Mike Evans, and Keenan Allen. If my receivers go off, you guys are screwed. You know what I mean? Because I could have 3 guys that could put up 90 points. Same thing with him, with 3 guys that could put up 90 or 80, at the running back position. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you have something really, really good at wide receiver and running back, you have a big advantage, but you had to have drafted well, or you picked up those guys in the first 3 weeks. So, absolutely keep Ayuk. You don't get rid of guys. When guys are doing shitty, sometimes you just put them on the bench. You just got to look to see what else is out there. Almost intercepted. Wow. Devontae Smith with the tip drill. Yeah, but like I said, I'm never going to direct someone wrong. I'm always going to be honest. Like, if I'm looking at, those type of players, would I have them on my team? Depending on what kind of depth you have. But again, you got to monitor targets, points, compare it to what, the other guys on the wire are, what's available. And chances are there's not going to be anyone that's even worth, swapping for. You know what I mean? There's going to be some receivers that are out there, like Rice from the Chiefs and Kendrick Bourne, but are they going to be able to be consistent, week in and week out? Some weeks good, maybe some weeks not as good, so you have to take that in consideration. But I'm having to move my lineup a lot because, like I said, I've had these running back injuries. I'm very thin at running back. I mean, hell, if I have to put Jalen Warren as my RB2 and I'm just praying that I get 10 points, that shows you. I don't even have any good running backs on my squad, but I'm still first place. I still have scored the most points. I've given up the least. But how long is that going to continue? I need Montgomery back. But I'm going to still, try my best to get 10 points for my RB1, 10 points for my RB2. And typically, if that happens, I can still win because I know my wide receivers, my quarterbacks, my tight ends, and my defense and kicker normally are pretty good. Down. Oh, touchdown. Eagles. Wow. And that's why it's good to have a very well-rounded team. And that's why me and Reflex teams, I think, are the best in the league. Jalen, Saquon, Swift, Waddle, Kirk, Kelsey, Mostert, Cleveland D, Aubrey, Dallas kicker, and then his bench, Breece Hall, Damian Pierce, DeAndre Hopkins, Nico Collins, Jerome Ford, Deontay Johnson, Goddard, James Conner. Like a fucking all-star team. That's exactly how I normally build my team year in and year out, except maybe he's got a few more running backs on the bench that I typically don't have. I like to be able to have a backup quarterback. I like to have 2 or 3 defenses. I like to have 2 kickers. But I guess if you want to be ballsy and just have 1 kicker, 1 defense, and then switch those up every week, and then just have 1 quarterback, an elite one, either Mahomes, a Josh Allen or Hurts, and pray that they don't get hurt all year, and then you just get more and more and more running backs, it'll work out for you until Jalen gets hurt. And if Jalen gets hurt, then he's fucked. But if he doesn't, you might win the championship. So, I mean, there's different strategies on how to build a team, but I like to be able to have insurance, and I like to be able to switch things up. I'm always looking at the matchups week in and week out. And, like imagine if I was going to keep the Bills defense. I mean, I'm not going to keep them. I had them, dropped them. Megan picked them up, dropped them. And now I realize that without those key players out, first and goal, they actually counted. There it is. Jalen gets the touchdown and A.J. Brown doesn't. That's tough for A.J. Brown fantasy owners. And especially when they're doing the tush push, then Jalen's even more valuable because you're going to get rushing touchdowns with him and throwing. That's why he's so valuable. He's arguably the most valuable quarterback in fantasy. You got Josh Allen and Mahomes that are going to be great, but are they doing tush push? No. So moving forward, Jalen Hurts might be the first quarterback taken off the board, even over Mahomes next year, the next year after that, especially if they keep the same type of strategy. If the tush push doesn't get banned, then Jalen's going to be one of those guys that will be able to run and throw and tush push. So he's like a triple threat. He can run, bootleg, and score. Push, get pushed in the back from a running back, or he can throw a couple. That's more explosive than Mahomes or Allen, unless they're getting 4 or 5 touchdown passes or running one in and throwing for 3. Extra point by Elliott is up, and it's good. And it shows you with Miami. Miami's a good team. They give you a top 5 team. But if you go against the Eagles at home, Niners at home, Lions at home, or Jags at home, or Ravens at home, you're probably going to lose. Like, I'm saying? Like, the Dolphins are still a good team, but their O-line and their defense is nowhere near championship level. You know what I mean? Like, you're just not. They're a good team, and they're explosive on offense, but that O-line and that defense will get exposed. It's getting exposed tonight. Zini in the building. What's good? I told you you're going to win today. I told you. It's all because of the thumb. I had to put in that extra effort with the Kelly Greens. And that's why it's so important in football. Some people look at Miami and they're like, wow, Tua, Waddle, Tyreek. Yeah, they can score really, really fast. But when they do that, what happens? The defense gets tired. You can't expect a defense that's average or below average to be out there the whole game. When the Dolphins score, sometimes they score in like a minute. And then all of a sudden the defense is back out there again. And then they're giving up points. And then all of a sudden they get back out there. Miami scores again. Bang, bang, bang. So sometimes when your offense is too good and the defense isn't there, you're hurting your team because the defense can't fucking rest. They're going to be fucking hands on the hips and they're going to be tired. So that's why it's so important to have balance in football. The Niners have balance, offense and defense. The Eagles have balance. The Lions have balance. The Jags have balance. Today, the Ravens showed that they had balance. And when you have balance, you can play against another team and beat the shit out of them. And like I said, you just can't have a good offense and a shaky defense like Miami. You have to have a well-rounded team. And if you have a really good D but not a good O, or a really good O like Miami and not a good D, you will get exposed. It may not be week 1. It may not be week 2, but eventually you're going to run into a team that's a Super Bowl contender, and they're going to slap you in the mouth. And that's what we're getting here today. Now, if the game was in Miami, could Miami win the game? Yes, because we know Philly isn't the same team on the road. Sometimes they'll drop games on the road, just like any good team, right? But with this team, balance, Kelly Greens, at home, and defense wins championships, defense wins games. Big facts. And plus, you got to think, with the Eagles losing to the Jets, right, it's kind of a fluke. Just like the Browns beating the Niners. But again, injuries were a big reason why these teams lost. And also, too, looking at the Eagles' schedule, it's not going to be easy for them. Things are going to be very difficult in the next 8 games. So they need to make sure that they're beating these really good opponents to be able to show, hey, you want to fucking laugh at us and say, oh, you lost to the Jets. We didn't lose to Zach Wilson. We lost to a top 7 Jets defense. And you guys know when the Jets defense or the Browns defense is on, they're really good. Like, we're talking about one of the best in the world. But if the offense can kind of get into them like the Colts today, they were able to get in. Gardner Minshew somehow, by the miracle of the sports gods, I don't know how, was able to do good against that Browns defense. But also the Browns defense got tired because why? Deshaun Watson got hurt. The offense wasn't there. The defense was on the field too much, and then they get tired. So that's how it goes as well. Even elite defenses get tired from time to time. Fly, Eagles, fly. Mazzini, Panini. Nice. I told you you're going to win. Well, it shows you when they go to Mark Andrews, they dominate. When they don't go to Mark Andrews, they don't dominate. You know what I mean? Everything opens up when you go to Mark Andrews. Like, you got to start going to Mark Andrews like a couple years ago, when they had Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Ingram. Like, you got to go back in time, back when Lamar was always going to Mark Andrews. It's like, yeah, I know you got OBJ out there, but he ain't going to fucking score touchdowns. Now, if you want to go to Zay Flowers and some of the other guys, fine, Rashad Bateman, but it's not Mark Andrews. Stop acting like Mark Andrews isn't one of the top 2 tight ends in football or top 3 with Kittle and Kelsey and like Laporta. Act like Mark Andrews is one of the best in the world and go to him and he'll give you results. If you start pussyfooting around the action and you, oh, let me get Zay Flowers. Oh, let me go to OBJ. Fuck those guys. Go to your best player and then you get good results. And after Andrews gets his tutties, then go to the other guys. Then the running game opens up and then you get big runs by Gus the Bus, right? And then you get, Justice Hill and all these other like amazing runs come out of nowhere, Like Gus Edwards ended up having a big, like 50, 60, 70-yard run. Those things don't happen, right, unless the defense cheat up, thinking that Andrews might get the ball, and then all of a sudden play action. Oh, shit, it's not going to Andrews, and here's Gus the Bus running down, for like a 60-yard gain. So everything goes hand in hand in football. But again, like I said, with the Ravens, sometimes, the offense is not going to be there. The strong suit for the Ravens is not the Lamar and Mark Andrews. It's the defense. The defense is what keeps them going. And then when the offense matches the defensive production, then you get an ass whooping against the Lions that we got today. And also it shows you that teams are better at home than they are on the road. Trick play. Oh! Josh Sweat, baby. Nice. Can you give me the 4 drivers and how many races we have left and everything that's going on? Can you give me an update with everything in NASCAR? Like, who are the drivers that are left and how many races? I know this year with the throwbacks, with the Bucks and the Creamsicles, these Kelly Greens, the Seahawks, and then we get the Oiler uniforms as well. Oh, personal fouls. Yeah, but remember, that offense, especially if you play a pretty good defense or that they have your number, Lamar ain't going to be putting up amazing numbers every week. Remember, he played Houston week 1 and put up a 6 in fantasy, and then 3 weeks ago played Pittsburgh and put up a 9. That's unacceptable. That's not MVP caliber. So you have to understand it's a long season, and sometimes defenses get your number. You're not going to be the best player every single week. Even Patrick Mahomes, Jalen, Josh Allen, Lamar, Burrow. You're going to have games where you just play like shit or the defense just plays really, really good. Another flag on the play. And then also, too, let's not act Lamar has been playing like lights out. He's only thrown 3 touchdown passes once this year, and it was today. So it's, you got to, like, people want to overreact. Oh, Ravens. Yeah, it was good today. Let's keep it up. Let's see if he can match that production week in and week out. Oh, nice catch. But I'll tell you what, with Megan, in your lineup, I would be probably starting Lamar. I mean, depending on who it is against. Obviously, when they go against the Steelers, usually it's not very good with Lamar's stats and whatnot, because obviously I know that was one of the games where he underperformed. But other than that, I would probably be starting Lamar on your fantasy team the rest of the way. All right, so we got Martinsville and the Robo, and then Phoenix. Bell, Byron, Hamlin, and Larson. Who's the prediction? Byron obviously was very hot at the beginning of the year, and then Larson started to catch fire kind of towards the end. Bell and Hamlin have won here and there, but I'm not sure if they would be good enough to win it. So we would assume it would be William Byron or Larson. It'll be Hendrick Motorsports winning the championship this year. Wouldn't we? I mean, hell, if Bell and Hamlin do it, good for them. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. It seems like Hendrick always finds a way at the end of the year to be able to put up the great numbers at the end. So, yeah. Yeah. All right, let me go get my Snapple in the freezer here real quick. Eagles dominating, no surprise. think I got this mango madness before it got frozen. Just on the brink. I would have left that in there for another like 5 minutes. It probably would have been completely frozen. Perfect. Perfect. But Lamar's numbers, like I said, if you go to, Mark Andrews, more often, you're going to be able to get better numbers. First game, 0 TDs. Second game, 2 TDs. Third game, 0 TDs. Fourth game, 2 TDs. Fifth game, 0 TDs. Last game, 1 TD. Today, 2 touchdowns to Mark Andrews. You got a total of 3. Oh, lo and behold, 33 points, almost 34. So the key thing is go to Mark Andrews. Your numbers go up. If you start fucking around and going to Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers and OBJ, your numbers are going to be dog shit. Know who's on your team and go to your superstar teammate, your best friend. Don't be going to these other guys. I know you want to be able to get the other guys going, but going to OBJ is only going to make one person happy, OBJ, not the Ravens fans, because he ain't getting in the fucking end zone. The more you go to Mark Andrews, the better numbers Lamar is going to have. And if he continues to go to Mark Andrews more and more and more, not only is Lamar and Andrews going to get into a better rhythm, but then they're going to be right there with the Jags as the team that's probably considered that has the most balance, right there with the Kansas City Chiefs and obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Dolphins don't really have an O-line and a defense that you can count on, but their offense is so explosive that if you can't guard Tyreek or Waddle or Mostert with Tua, they might outscore you. So it's like even though their O-line and defense can be suspect at times, they're always going to be that team that's a bunch of guys like sprint runners, like marathon guys and guys that are running track. They're just going to run and try to run you out of the building. And they can score faster than anybody in the league. But can they stop anybody? That's the problem. Because once you get a team that has a good defense like Philadelphia, you get exposed. Like you might be able to throw up 50, 60, 70 against the Denver Broncos, but you ain't doing that shit against Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? Sarah with $1. Appreciate you. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Josh Downs. Bang, bang. 46, 54 to go. Good thing Odin's son came through with the 40 or we'd be fucked today. Where's the game being played? And it also depends on Deshaun Watson and the health of the quarterback. But I would assume that Seahawks have the better, well-rounded team. It's 12 noon. You know what time it is? Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Now, the Browns' defense is better than the Hawks' defense. But, the Hawks have a better offense. So it just depends on if the Browns' defense plays elite. They will always have a shot. But it also depends on what the Browns' offense does. If the Browns' offense isn't there, then Seattle should be able to win, by 3 to 7 points. But, if the Browns' offense shows up, then it could go either way. The Browns could upset Seattle, if the defense plays elite, but we don't really know what kind of Cleveland Brown team we're going to get. Are we going to get the elite Cleveland Brown team, or are we going to get the team that plays pretty good defense, but nothing on offense, and then Seattle takes advantage? So I would assume Seattle can win that game. But the defense, Jim Schwartz, is very good. Like I said, they do get exposed if the offense is not doing anything because they get tired. But Myles Garrett and company, they're still a good defense. But again, you can't have them on the field, every fucking, every other play. They need to be able to rest. They can't be out there all the time. That's why you have to have balance to give each unit rest proper. Tua, floater, touchdown, Tyreek, the free kill. And there you go. I told y'all Tyreek was going to get the tutty. There it is, right before halftime. Let's see what this celebration is. And so even though they've been getting dominated left and right by Philadelphia, all it takes is one throw by Tua to Tyreek, and then you're back in striking distance. How many teams have this luxury? Nobody does. I mean, they're literally the only team that has this type of luxury to go Tua, Tyreek, and Tyreek is so good that he could score 1, 2, 3. Hell, he could probably score 4 times in a game, and I don't think there's anyone else that could do that besides maybe Justin Jefferson, but he's not playing right now. And obviously you could argue that, Tyreek the freak hill, the cheetah, he might be the most explosive player in the NFL. That's not a quarterback. The guy is on pace for 2,000 yards as a receiver. It's bananas. Nice play by Tua. But that Browns game is a trap game because I mean, a lot of Hawks fans are going to be like, "Oh, we can win that game," but it all depends on how you play. If they get a bunch of sack lunches and picks, I could definitely see you losing that game like 23-20. You know what I mean? But if Seattle can actually run the football effectively, open up the play action, get DK and Lockett and Ajigba involved, Kenneth Walker gets a touchdown or two, defense makes a couple plays, then Seattle could win by 3 or they could win by 13. But if they don't play efficiently, they could also lose that game, even at home. So, it'll be we'll have to see on who's quarterbacking for Cleveland, and that might determine who ends up winning the game. Yeah, for real. They did. So like fantasy is so difficult and predicting games is pretty difficult too. Let me throw up a Josh Downs for you. Appreciate you. 17-10. Like, can you imagine once Miami actually has an offensive line and a defense, they may be unstoppable. Especially if Tua's still there, Tyreek is there with Waddle. Like they can end up being like, the Kansas City Chiefs were, a couple years ago. Like it can get really scary where they're going to be blowing out a lot of teams. Like they just need to keep beefing up that defense. Like if you ended up having a top defense for Miami that was like top 5, top 10 with that offense, and then they had a top 10 O line. I don't know who's beating Miami. Like they could end up getting to a point where they're winning 13, 14 games a year. If they end up having a top 10 defense, top 10 offense, and a top 10 O line, like who would honestly beat Miami? I don't know if anyone could because the offense would be explosive. The running game would be explosive because their offensive line would be pulling and doing everything. And then all of a sudden, you got a defense that can get turnovers and that can score and get the ball back to Tua and Tyreek. I mean, it's 12 noon. You know what time it is? Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Van Ginkel and Chubb, 17-10. I mean, and basically, I mean, it was 17-3. It was domination, domination, domination. And all of a sudden, you just let up, right? Just for a little bit, just like a play or two. And then here's Tua to Tyreek with a perfect throw, like playing in the backyard. And then boom, touchdown. Now you're down by 7, and you can still win this game. That's what makes Miami so dangerous. And also, this guy right here, Mike McDaniel. To me, if you actually look at his skill set as a coach, he's one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL. This was like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan as far as intelligence. And then you got other guys that are OGs like Andy Reid, that do their thing there, but Dougie P's doing a good job. I mean, Harbaugh. I mean, you got a lot of coaches that are up there, but I mean, if you're talking about intelligence, McDaniel, McVay, Shanahan, those are definitely the top three. I'm ready to see some highlights. Let's watch some highlights together. And I was watching the Chiefs and the Chargers and talking to Owen and Son. So I was going to do some reaction videos after I got done watching the Bucks lose to the Falcons. But I figured I would just spend time with Paisley, went for another walk with her, and spent time with her. So I'll get reaction videos started probably tomorrow morning, unless I end up doing like this game after this game ends. And then we'll end up doing it. And plus, some of the matchups in the morning weren't really the greatest, so but I'll try to pump out some tomorrow. And then we got Niners and Vikings. So we already know the Niners are going to blow out the Vikings. There's no Jay Jetta and stuff, but we're still going to do the game. And then I'll try to pump out 5, 6, 7 reaction videos tomorrow. Three one Rangers. We got Diamondbacks, Phillies at 2:00. So Phillies are going to the World Series tomorrow over the Diamondbacks at home. Why the hell is that game on at 2:00? Jeez Louise. And then we got Rangers Astros. Game 7. Maybe we would do that instead. Maybe Rangers Astros over the Niners and the I mean, obviously I prefer football over baseball, but if it's game 7, that would be kind of interesting. It's at the same time. I guess we can do a vote. Unless the Astros come back and win tonight, then we won't even have to worry about that. But I mean, I wouldn't mind, doing Phillies Diamondbacks or Rangers Astros. I mean, if the Niners had a better opponent, or if Jay Jetta was actually playing, with Kirk Cousins, then it would be like, okay, cool. We got the Niners, and then I get Jay Jetta and Cousins, and yeah, the Vikings are going to lose, but maybe Jay Jetta does some crazy shit and gets a couple touchdowns, and it's fun, even though they lose the game. But it's like with no Jay Jetta, the Vikings are like really hard to watch. So, I mean, what are you thinking, Sarah? Should we just do football tomorrow, or should we do game 7 if we have a game 7? I don't know. We'll do a poll tomorrow. We'll see what people say. So. I mean, I'm always going to lean towards football first, but I mean, if it's a game 7, I don't know. That's worth doing sometimes, Now, if the Mariners were in it, then it would be a lot more exciting than these fucking Astros and Rangers. I mean, I like the Phillies and Diamondbacks. I don't really give a shit about the Rangers and Astros, though. Or maybe we just do the NFL game and we just watch the baseball game at the same time, and I just cover both of them. We just highlight the football game still, and like if I knew we were be able to get a good crowd, but it's like if we're not doing Mariners, it's like you don't really know who's going to show up. It could be a decent crowd or it could be very small. So we're gonna do football. So, but I will do some World Series, matchups. Lions and Ravens. Lamar. Look at this block. Pow! Look at Staley blocking him into fucking eternity. And it's the first time that Lamar actually has like tried going to Mark Andrews. Like, lo and behold, you go to Mark Andrews, you win the game, and you look good. And you give me points in fantasy. I mean, who would have thought? Like, you haven't even gone to Mark Andrews at all year, and then you finally go to him because it's National Tight End Day, and he gets 2 tutties, and then you end up blowing out the Lions. I mean, that should be like a blueprint. Like, hello, that's what you should be doing. Goldstein in the building. What's good? You guys are going to go to the World Series tomorrow. I'll be watching. It's 100% over tomorrow. 100%. You already know the Bills are dog shit if they can't even beat New England. It shows you how much they rely on Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano. I can't even roster their defense anymore. That's a shame. Like, I wanted to keep Buffalo all year, and I'm not going to be able to do it. You're dog shit. 1-3 record in one possession games. You suck. You got to go. You got to go, Megan. It's all good. Yeah, and the thing is if you go to the World Series, you're probably going to win this year. You got to crawl before you walk. You got to have your heart ripped out first. But also remember, you weren't better than the Astros last year. You were happy to be there. You overachieved. You got hot at the right time. But when it came down to it, the other team was better. But this year, maybe the Phillies have the best team. And like, you're the favored team. Even if Houston goes, and everyone's going to be rooting for you. The only people that are going to be rooting for Houston are Houston fans that are delusional. No one's going to be rooting for fucking them globally. So you're not only going to have the Philadelphia fans, you're going to literally have every baseball fan on planet Earth rooting. So I would assume that. I mean, could Houston, if they end up winning, could they end up, winning the World Series again? Yeah, but they won't. Not this year. It shows you how good Bryce Harper is. But also everyone else that has stepped up since he's been there, and the pitching has been tremendously better with Zach Wheeler and Nola. Like, Nola was very like on and off last year, and he's a little bit more consistent, feeding off those good vibes. And who's got the best crowd out of anybody in baseball? Philadelphia, and that definitely will be a factor, in the World Series. Sometimes things got to change. If you want to end up being a champion and get a Lombardi, sometimes you're going to have to be the favored team. Instead of being underdog, at some point, the Phillies and the Eagles are going to be considered some of the best teams, and you got to get it done. Now, are you going to get it done with the Sixers and the Flyers? Fuck no. You're never going to win those. Never, 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 never. But with the Eagles, right, you can win there. Phillies, you can win there. And now we're starting to realize that the Dodgers and Braves are overrated, and Philadelphia should be the number one team in the National League moving forward. So all it takes is to get a chance to win one, and maybe instead of being an underdog, you can be the favorite, and maybe this is a dynasty. What happens if Philadelphia goes next year and you win back to back, and you lost the first one last year, you win this year, and you win next year? Sometimes you got to have a different type of thinking instead of, underdog. Like, no, we're the fucking best. We got the best crowd. It's us. It's our time now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that ain't happening. Yeah, Sixers ain't gonna. Yeah, I mean, you got a better chance winning with the Phillies and the Eagles because it all depends on the owner, right, and the way the team is built. Yeah, you got Embiid, but it doesn't. You don't have enough, with that roster to be able to compete. Can you be a team that ends up, making the Eastern Conference Finals here and there? Yeah, but not good enough to win the championship, though. Unfortunately, unless you can get the right players paired up with Embiid, and a better bench. There's just a lot of holes in that roster. Unless you had like Dr. J, Charles Barkley, and Embiid together, then I'd be like, and then Maurice Cheeks, then I'm like, okay, maybe you got something there, but or you got Allen Iverson there also, but you don't got no AI, you got no Dr. J, you got no Barkley, you got no Embiid. Yeah, probably not happening. But I mean, if what would you rather want? It's a Phillies start winning some fucking championships and the Eagles start winning some Lombardis. You're not going to give two shits about what the fucking the Flyers do or what the Sixers do. You're going to be in heaven with the fucking championships with the fucking Eagles and the Phillies. Going back to that Ryan Howard days. Yeah, I still he was a good player back in the day, though. Not great player, but role player. Miami. NWSF, believe it. Oh. I like it. You got Shaq running Reebok, which is a good person to have. He's got money. He's smart. You got AI. They both have good connections. They both had the best shoes that Reebok ever had with the pump. Obviously, with the Reebok pump, and then you had AI with the answers, which were super dope. That was like one of the shoes that actually was, very popular, comfortable. Those AI shoes were money. I think it's a good pairing. And with those two, then you have Angel Reese, from LSU. You signed her, and you're not going to be able to compete with necessarily Adidas and Nike, but it depending on what type of shoe comes out and what it is. Like re-releasing the AIs would be smart. Because I know people would buy those. They look good, they were comfortable, and it was one of the only shoes that even like sneakerheads and like basketball players would actually buy that wasn't Nike or Adidas. They would buy that Reebok. So love you, Paisley. Oh, Barrios, AC joint in the shoulder. Uh-oh. Same thing with your boy, AR Richardson. Same thing, huh? That's not good. That means his draft stock is gonna plummet then. That's a damn shame. I just hope that we don't have a lot of buffs in the NFL because, like I said, Bo Nix doesn't really look like he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. Now you got Quinn Ewers with this injury. And then, maybe Drake May and Michael Penix Jr. and Caleb Williams are overrated. Maybe we're giving them too much credit and too much love that they're good against the shitty teams, but they're not good against the good teams. And if that's the case, they're not going to do good in the NFL. Like you might only end up getting, one player that ends up panning out, and who knows who that's going to be. You got to be able to win against good opponents in college too. So it's kind of weird that we saw Drake May, Caleb, and Michael Penix Jr. all lose and all play bad. So it's like, hopefully, we get guys that pan out. I don't want to see this draft being hyped up as the best quarterback draft in 20 years and then nobody pans out. Everyone is just average or above average. Like we don't get any elite quarterbacks. That would be terrible. Hopefully, we get at least a couple. Second down and 8. Tua. Nice. Tyreek, move the chains. Paisley does love dad. All right, Megan, have a good one. Yeah, I saw that Cameron Rising's out. Coach Kyle Whittington ended up releasing that info last night. Yeah, I usually watch a lot, man. Like I said, when it's football season, man, I mean, I'm always over it. I mean, I'm usually watching 3, 4, 5 college games. I'm trying to watch 3, 4, 5 NFL games. I'm really trying to get as much film in as I can. But it's crazy how good Miami is right now without an offensive line or a defense. And once they get those pieces, They will be unstoppable. I mean, imagine if the Dolphins had the Eagle or Niner O-line or the Eagle or Niner defense. Like, how they would be scoring more points than Philadelphia and San Francisco based on the weapons that they have with like Waddle, Tua, Tyreek, and Mostert. It'd be scary, like on how many points that they would average if they actually had the Niner O line in defense or the Eagle O line in defense. They would probably be averaging like 35 a game, maybe more. That's scary. Average O line, average defense, and they're still in almost every game they play. Mostert, talk soon. But at least we actually have a Sunday night game that's fun. You know, like I said, there's been a lot of games that have been Thursday night, Sunday night, and like Monday night, and we're like, oh, this is dog shit. This is not good. But you know, two of the top 5 teams in the NFL. I mean, if you can't get up for this game, you're never going to get up for any game. So Reflect has got Swift with 4, Waddle with 4, Mostert with 0.5. But Brees Hall on a bye, Pierce on a bye, Hopkins on a bye, Nico on a bye. You'll have Ford on the bench, who he should have started, 17.4. And then Goddard on the bench with 16.7. Should have probably put him in. But again, when you have so many running backs, then you're not even thinking about putting in Goddard for National Tight End Day. You know, but sometimes you know, I guess if he didn't have so many running backs, maybe he would have put in a double tight end. Like I could have did Laporta and Andrews today. Nice job, Tyreek. I probably would have considered it if the Lions were at home, but I was like, every game that Laporta plays on the road, he doesn't do well. 7, 8, or 9 points in the previous 3. So what would make me think that he was going to blow up on the very good Raven defense? I didn't. So he stayed on my bench. But I'm really happy I have him just in case, you know, with Mark Andrews and whatnot. It sucks that the Bucks lost to the Falcons. I thought that was going to be our opportunity to kind of, you know, take off, you know, from everyone else in the division. But it shows you how close the Falcons, Saints, and Bucks are. The Panthers are last, right? But the other 3 teams, even though they have weaknesses, Desmond Ritter, I don't have a running game, and the Saints don't have a good head coach, play caller, or O line, but you still have enough weapons there that no one can really clearly say who the best team in the NFC South is. Even though I still think it's my team, but fuck. You know, wish I had a running back that could actually run other than Rashad White. Odin's son in the building. I appreciate you with your 40. If you didn't do your 40, we would have been fucked today. So thank you so much, bro. Odin's son with the 40 before the stream started. Always stepping up, always supporting the brand, always helping out whenever he can. Even when money's tight, still donates, still takes care of me. And that means a lot because I already know what you got going on. You know, you got the wifey, you got the kiddos, you got the job, you got all kinds of shit going down, but you always prioritize doggy dog. And you're the true OG, man. You know, you send me wrestling figures, you know, and I already knew that you and me were going to be, you know, very close even years ago. You know, you were the first one to donate big to me before anyone else did. You know, you were the first one to do 20s and 40s and 50s and hundreds, and you know, I really appreciate that, man. Finally, Mahomes look like Mahomes. Rice is your best receiver. McCole Hardman is back to be a complimentary receiver and special teams player. Kelsey is the truth. And that defense was playing great. They know how to bat those footballs down. No one is better in the NFL than them at batting the footballs down. And you guys look amazing. I wish you guys could play the Chargers every week, and so that way I wouldn't be frustrated with Mahomes in fantasy. But over 400 yards, that's exactly what I need in fantasy out of Mahomes if I want to win the championship. So, you guys were fun to watch today. Like I said, I decided not to do reaction videos. I was going to do 2 or 3, but I figured I would watch the game with you and enjoy it. And anytime the Chiefs and the Chargers, of course, I know I'm gonna hope that Herbert does decent because obviously he's a duck. But rooting for the Chiefs to do well since I got Mahomes, and I like to be able to see them do well. I don't like seeing Mahomes and the Chiefs play average football, especially when they're considered like the best team in football or one of the best in the last couple of years. Seeing them play mediocre football or average football is just weird, So it's good to see them. Yeah, so fantasy points I needed have arrived. Big facts. I needed that. 33.86, 424 yards and 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. But, I mean, it's not like he's been bad, but I mean, I wanted bigger numbers. 19, 21, 25, 13 against the Jets. That sucked. 19, 17 against Denver. That sucked. And then 33. So really, he's only had 2 bad games, the Jets and then Denver. But everything else has been, 19 and up, which is, okay. But for Patrick Mahomes, you kind of want to have like 25 and up. If you have like Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, not any Josh Allen anymore, but or Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, you want 25 to 40 points, but sometimes the defenses are going to do better, and it's the first game that he threw 4. But if you only throw 1 touchdown pass, Jets, 1 touchdown pass, Denver, yeah, you're probably not going to win, or you're going to win barely. So, yep. And if you're looking at the pecking order, the Bills are no longer one of the top teams in football. They're dog shit. So Chiefs, right? Dolphins, Jags, Ravens. Those are your top 4 in the AFC. And then you got Eagles, Niners, Lions, Seahawks in the NFC. That's the pecking order right now. Top 8 teams in the NFL. I mean, even though there's no Bieniemy and there's no Juju, bring in McCole Hardman. It's so big for that Chief organization. Vibe, special teams, another receiver that can actually catch the goddamn ball so that you don't have to go to other guys. Kadarius Toney, whatever, Sky Moore, whatever. Keep giving the ball to Rice, Kelsey, right? Derek McKinnon, right? Pacheco. Those are the guys you give the football to. You don't need to give the football to those other guys. You give the football to those other guys, you're going to get fucking dropped. Go to guys that you can count on. Hell, I would rather go to McCole Hardman than Toney. I would go to McCole Hardman over Sky Moore. Rice is the guy. That is your new budding star at receiver. You got Kelsey at tight end, Rice. Now McCole Hardman comes back. You got another piece there that you can trust, right? And then you got Pacheco, who's amazing this year, probably the best thing for the Chiefs this season. That was a little bit overachieving. He's like doing better than we thought. He's doing good, but not only that, he's doing great. And if he didn't do great all year, he probably would have chalked up a couple more L's. So, God bless Pacheco. Like a little baby Tyreek out there. 17-10 Eagles. Anything that you want to see photo-wise, bro? And thank you so much for your support, man. Like I said, support has been definitely lacking in 2023. And, we did a duck game yesterday and we hit $1, which is fucking embarrassing, for like a 3-4 hour stream. So, obviously it depends on how many people we have in the room and, who's going to do what. But still, for me and Sarah to grind it out for 4 hours and to be at a fucking dollar is ridiculous. So thank you for doing you and being you and making sure that that doesn't happen again today. So, I mean, if we were at 20 subs and you get $1, then so be it. But when you're at 20,000 plus, it's embarrassing. I mean, I want to be able to do giveaways and give back to the mods and give back to the fans, but I can't fucking do it if I get $1 or 5 or 10 or 20. I ain't going to cut it. First down and 10. Play action fake. Oh, avoids the sack lunch, but not that time. I want to do giveaways. Fuck. I mean, if the donos were good enough, I'd love to be able to give a jersey away, at halftime on every game. But we're nowhere near that. It's like hell. I can't even give a jersey away. I got to be able to fucking survive. But one day we will get there, and that'll be a fun moment for me because I would rather give back to you guys than buy shit for myself. As long as I have Paisley and I can take care of her, give her bones and treats and give her all my love and make sure that she's happy. I don't really need a whole lot for myself. So, I mean, hell, the shoes that I have right now got fucking holes in the bottom of them because I'm walking so much with Paisley. So, 17-10 Philadelphia. Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, that'll definitely improve that defense. Third down and 5. Shotgun set. Good defense. Eli Apple actually playing like Xavier Howard or Jalen Ramsey. He's like, look at me. And think about it. Where would you rather be? The Bengals, as Saints, or the Dolphins? You'd rather be on the Dolphins. Man to punt. Braxton Berrios to receive. They have so much speed. And even though the Eagles are more well-rounded of a team, it takes one throw to get caught up. One Tua to Tyreek or one Tua to Waddle and the game is tied. That's how dangerous Miami is. Judah, my boy, how are you? What's going on in the NHL world? I know Connor Bedard ended up having his first goal at home yesterday or the day before. Johnny who? Thumbnail looking good. Professional dog. Bruins side 0-0. Nice. You got any bets going on, Judah? I like having hockey people in the building too, because like I said, I'm always going to be expanding and doing more and more. And maybe the Kraken are fucking losing almost every goddamn game because I'm not doing it. Obviously, they need better goal scorers and better defense. You can't expect Grew and company to hold teams to one goal, but not looking very, very good this year in year number 3 for the Kraken. But hopefully, once football and other things start to slow down a little bit, I'll be able to do a little bit more hockey. It's not like I'm opposed to doing NASCAR or NHL or NBA. I'm definitely going to be doing those things, but as long as the NFL and college football are going, that's always going to be prioritized first. So you took the Red Wings at home. Home Dogs versus the Flames. Nice. Devils don't play till Tuesday. I'm going to look at the rankings right now. I got to look at the records. I don't even want to look at the Kraken record right now. Let me look at the standings. All right, let's take a look at the big dogs and the NHL so far. All right, Detroit, Boston at the top, Philadelphia and the Rangers, Colorado at top, which I knew they would be, Dallas up there as well. Goddamn, Seattle 1-4. Jesus Christ. Vegas up there. Vegas undefeated, Colorado undefeated, Dallas up there. Like all the teams that were pretty fucking good last year, right? In playoff runs. And then here's Seattle. We ended up making the playoffs and we start off 1-4. Jesus Christ. They're terrible. Mostert. Oh, nice run by Mostert there. But they're the real deal because they have depth. It's like not only do you have to have good goalie play, good defensemen, but you have to have different lines that can score goals. With Vegas, they got like 8 motherfuckers on that team that can score. Seattle's got like one guy, maybe two. And it's like it's like you can't even count on Matty every time, or even Yamamoto. It's like they don't have enough every game. You need to be able to have 6, 7, 8 guys that could score, not maybe one or two that could, not should, but could. And that's the difference. You got to have more guys that are capable to be able to get goals, and we definitely don't have that. Like, especially if you compare us to the Colorados and the Vegases, it's like it's ridiculous, like how much better they are, based off the depth that they have on the team. It's like you can tell the teams like Vegas and Colorado, like the teams that have offense and defense and goaltending, and obviously the good coach, and getting all the pieces lined up, and they have the depth. First line, second line, third line. There's no weaknesses. 5-0 start. Nice. Let's go. Let's get the Bees a win, huh? Do it for Ray Borg. Nice. Reflect in the building. What's good? Calm down with your Beast fantasy team. You're just gonna like take the league by storm. Points, 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 points for Reflect. More points. Some of your running backs are, starting a little slow, but there's still another quarter and a half for some of your guys to get some more points. So, but you're gonna win. But I was looking at mine, and I got 1 point out of the Buffalo defense and 2 out of Maher. That shit is unacceptable. I don't give a shit if I win by 100 in fantasy. If I don't get 20 points total out of my kicker and my defense, 10 each, I'm pissed. 3? I mean, I might as well just take the fucking L. 3 points? Jesus Christ. I'm a stickler for that. It's like when you want to be good, I don't give a shit if I got fucking 20 points or more out of 7 spots. If I get 1 with my defense and 2 with my kicker, I'm pissed. Like, legitimately. Like, give me a fucking L. Ooh, art flea market. Did you buy anything? You got any cool pieces that you can that you bought? You can take a picture and send me. I can post on the stream. Oh, baby, and he dropped it. Wow. Tyreek fumbled the bag right there. Yeah, but you're still going to win. I mean, your team and my team are the 2 best in the league by quite a bit. Because obviously Chief Chief is having some injuries and whatnot, but you just got to pray that Jalen doesn't get hurt. As long as Jalen doesn't get hurt, you're going to be good to go. You might win the championship. Oh, she sold pottery. Nice. Pottery and jewelry. Hell yeah. My stepmom makes jewelry. She's actually really talented at it with like earrings and necklaces. She used to do it just kind of like as a hobby, but then she got to a point where she was actually like making money off of it. And then, just doing it like, at the store that she worked at, and then, and then other like flea market type places, and little gatherings, for like food and, like kind of flea market type stuff. No flag thrown there. Yeah, youth development is very big. Travis Kelce, 35.9. You're welcome with my Mahomes today. We actually got good numbers out of the Chiefs. And that we're always going to be connected that way too, Reflect. That even if you have some shaky numbers out of your receivers, or some of your running backs kind of, don't do as good, and you still have other guys, on the bench and whatnot, you got all this depth, right? But as long as the Chiefs and Mahomes and Kelce, we're going to be connected. So it's like when I do good, you're going to do good, because Mahomes is going to be looking at Kelce first. And if it's not him, then it'll be Pacheco. And if it's not Pacheco, it's going to be Rice. And then now McCole Hardman is back, so that's good for us. more points, more opportunities and whatnot. So, and I got Jalen. Yeah, I got Mahomes. You got Jalen. So we got both the best quarterbacks too. Josh Allen will still be able to put up some points. But their defense is just straight bootios. But I'm just still pissed. 34 out of Mahomes, 16 out of Rashad White, 10 from Warren. 23 from Amon-Ra, 20 out of Mike Evans, 22 with Mark Andrews. Keenan Allen disappointed me in the game and only gave me 9.5, but the flow of the game went to the other receivers. So that happens sometimes. And Keenan Allen normally was putting up 20 to 50 for me. So shit happens, right? Buffalo with 1 and Maher with 2. I'm not going to roster Buffalo D ever again because they are going on a downward trajectory. The only reason that they're ranked number 2 is because they put up 11 against the Raiders and 31 against Washington. And since then, they put up 7, 4, 6, and 1. I can get those numbers from somewhere else. So I have no confidence in Buffalo, and their defense is fucking terrible. So, and thank God I picked up the Jet defense this week. Looking ahead because they played the Giants, I need something to replace Buffalo, but they're not on my roster after this week. They're done. So if anyone wants to pick them up, go right ahead. And they may be able to scoop you, 5 to 8 points here and there, and maybe even get double digits against a shitty team. But I'm not going to roster them anymore. Fuck them. So you're going to put up a fucking 1 for me? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. I just need Montgomery and Jay Jetta to get goddamn healthy. Yeah. That's when the Bills are dog shit and they're no longer one of the top teams anymore. The top teams in the AFC now are going to be the Chiefs. Intercepted! Oh, shit! Touchdown, Dolphins! That sucks for your fantasy reflect, but that makes that game amazing. Wow! Holy shit! Look at that. What the hell? Where did that come from? Oh, my God. Where did that come from? They don't got Xavier Howard out there. They don't got Jalen Ramsey out there. Wow. Talk about this game being a lot closer than people thought. Tip? Wow. Tip drill. Unbelievable. And imagine once Miami has a top 10 O-line and a top 10 defense, they will be literally unstoppable. Extra point is up by Sanders, and it's good. We have a tie game, folks. Yeah, Connor Bedard. Connor. Stud. You're better than King Money's team. How I actually rate the teams also is if you click on your team, right? You click on it, then you click on matchup stats, go down to the tab that says scoring, and then you can look at your position rank. And if you look at your position rank, like you can tell, like if I have the most points scored and I given up the least, I have number 4, Mahomes, Rashad White, 24, Jalen Warren, 29, Amon-Ra, 13, Mike Evans, 21, Mark Andrews, 5, Keenan Allen, 4, Bills D, 2, Maher, 2, my bench, Montgomery, 15, Laporta, 2, Hollywood Brown, 18, CJ Stroud, 13, Jets D, 6, Jay Jetta, 9, right? And that's not, adding today's stats, right? And then if you look at your team, right? And this is why I know that, this is, and it's not just all your running backs, right? This is how I gauge. Hurts, 2, Saquon, 28, Swift, 7, Waddle, 39, Kirk, 11, Kelsey, 1, Mostert, 2, Browns D, 13, and you'll swap each week. Aubrey, 4, and then on your bench, Brees, 17, Pierce, 26, Hopkins, 41, Nico, 12, Ford, 21, Deontay Johnson, because he's been on IR, 135, but that's because he hasn't played. And then Goddard, 10, Connor, 23. That's when you know your team is legit, because if most of your roster is under 30, like if you have top 20 players and you have number 1 ranked players, number 5, number 2, number 11, number 18, the more top 25 players and under that you have, or top 29 players and lower that you have, the better overall your team is. And especially the more top 10, top 5, top 3 that you have, then you know you're really beast mode, especially if it's not just like one spot or two. You have many. That means that Reflect is very intelligent, very smart. He knows. And I feel you are the one that plays the closest to me. Like I feel your brain and my brain are the same. You have everyone on your roster. I said this last week. Every move that you've made this year is what I would have done. Everything that you did for heavy running backs is what I would have done if I went running backs instead of heavy wide receiver. You did exactly the opposite, wide receiver, running back, and it's working for you, you know? And that's why I assume that we'll play each other in the championship. So, and I'll probably lose, especially if your running backs get 30, 30, 30. I'm fucked unless my wide receivers give me 30, 30, 30, and I get Montgomery and Jay Jetta back. You haven't really had too many injuries. Connor on IR, but you have all these other running backs in there. Hell, you got Ford collecting dust who could actually be getting someone points in our league like me, and you're blocking everyone. So good for you. That's what a good fantasy player does. They stack up, they take risks, right? They have a lot of something, and they also are blocking. Because could you imagine if I had Ford as my RB1 or RB2, or if Sarah did or someone else did, that would mean that's wins, and even though you're not using, it's insurance. You will use Ford at some point, especially he's been so consistent. You have these other guys there, but there's going to get to a point where you're going to plug in Ford for like a week and just see, and if he ends up getting you 15 to 20 points, maybe you keep him in there. You just got to monitor, and it can't be about popular name, Brees Hall, Mostert, you got these guys that are like maybe not the most popular, but they're on those offenses, right? But just because Ford is on Cleveland doesn't mean that he can't score more than the other guys that you have in your lineup, like Saquon or Brees Hall, Mostert. Like Ford can be like arguably your best running back, like RB1, RB2 flex. So got an injury here. Reflect with a 5. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. But that's how I evaluate talent. When I spy on you guys, I spy on all your guys' shit, and I look at the wire, I look at your bench, and then I look at the the rankings of the teams. And if you notice that your team has got a lot of 40th ranked, 60th ranked, chances are you're probably not a top 4 team in fantasy, because the teams that are in the top 4 have the most top 20 players at their positions, top to bottom. And if you have a lot of these bullshit players that are just sitting there and you haven't replaced them for top 20 players, you're slacking. You need to make sure that your bench has got top 20 players also. So that way, if an injury happens, boom, here comes a top 20 player, not fucking wide receiver 58 when wide receiver fucking 15 is on the wire, but you never picked him up. That's how you build a championship roster like Reflect. It all depends on what the games look like for the reaction videos. Because if I have good reaction videos and good matchups to do, we'll skip Sunday night next week. But if the matchups are like so, I'll just do like 3, and then we'll do Sunday night football. And obviously, if Justin Fields was playing, I always like watching him and DJ Moore. But if he's out, we already assume the Chargers would win, but their defense is trash. So, the Bears could beat the Chargers. You would assume the Chargers and Herbert with all those weapons that can do it. The offense is better for the Chargers, but, the Bears beat the Raiders. Who would have thought that happened? So, but we'll probably skip it next week. So, your son is the GOAT? Nice. Well, you just have to know what the positions are the most valuable. What has most value? And that's why I feel I'm so good, at fantasy is I know value and projected value. And, running backs are, not a dime a dozen. They're a premium. Like I fucked up this year. I fuck up at least once or twice a year and I give up on a running back or a wide receiver too soon. And as soon as I give up on them, what happens? They start doing really good. Like I dropped Ramondre Stevenson, and he was supposed to be my RB2 all year with David Montgomery. And I got fed up with his ass, putting up these bullshit numbers of like 4 and 6. And then as soon as I drop him, and then as soon as fucking Shepard picks him up, what happens? 10 points, 15 points, 18 points. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I should have just stuck him on my bench and just left him there. But, I have grudges sometimes, against players. When they do too shitty for me too long, I say, fuck it. And then I just go for someone else. Or I try to get depth in a different position, or hope that someone else drops a running back. But apparently when anyone has done that, you have scooped them up, and I haven't been able to get my Ford that I need because you got them. So, but credit to you. That's a good fantasy football strategy. Blocking the hell out of O-Dog. and the rest of the league. There we go. Nice, Jalen. Devontae Smith, first down. Eagles. But if I do end up winning the championship, it'll be the first time that I've won the championship with literally no running backs. Like I've never, that hasn't happened with me maybe ever. I mean, I guess I have one running back. I have David Montgomery, who's legit, and then I have a bunch of fucking backups, or guys that are kind of dog shit like Rashad White and fucking Jalen Warren that I got to pray that get to fucking 10 points each week. That's not good. But again, if my receivers, put up 20, 30, 40, then it'll make up for it. But what happens if they don't? And I end up getting like 10 points, 15 points out of my wide receivers, then I'm fucked. So, but so far, so good, with the guys that I have. But I mean, I definitely would like to have someone other than David Montgomery that I believe in, because Rashad White and Jalen Warren and Jeff Wilson and some of these other, they're not good enough. I need to get another superstar running back, but I don't know if I'll ever get one unless someone drops somebody and I get lucky enough and I get them. You should have got Puka instead of Nico. Yeah. Yeah, but then we don't want you to have a dream team. You already got one. I mean, your team and my team make everyone else's teams look like silly in the league. Mostert, yeah. But also, anticipating that, maybe that that offense is so good with Tua and Tyreek, that maybe he breaks out. So, it's like with me getting fucking Keenan Allen and Mike Evans late when everyone else passed. I said, I'm going to take the best value. And that's really worked out for me. So you got lucky. I got lucky. If everyone else in the league was smarter and they would have picked Mostert or Mike Evans or Keenan Allen, maybe our teams aren't as good. And maybe it's like a 4-way race, on who the best team is. So, yeah. I mean, shit happens. We all make mistakes. And also surprises emerge like Puka that we never could have predicted. There's not one person on planet Earth, even me, that predicted Puka was going to be Puka. Hell, if I would have known that was going to happen, I would have fucking got him or tried to at least. But I was too far down on the wire. That's the thing when you start winning games right out of the gate. You don't get anybody. You never get first priority on the wire. You're always 10th, 9th. And I got to keep building. From that. That's why I have to make so many moves and I make so many decisions because I'm always on the bottom 2 in the wire, but I don't let that affect my performance. I just keep making more moves. That's how I get the advantage. I might not get number 1 pick in the wire, but I'll make more moves to, try to counteract that. So might not be able to get the superstar, but I might get a couple good that might turn into a superstar. Floater. There we go. Got it, baby. National Tight End Day. Oh, shit. Yeah, if you would have got Puka, it would have been unfair. Then it's like your goddamn dream team. Hurts, Barkley, Swift, Waddle, Puka, Kelsey, Mostert, Cleveland D, Aubrey, Brees Hall, Pierce, Hopkins, Ford, Deontay Johnson, Goddard, Connor. Jesus Christ. I mean, that would have been, yeah, I mean. But then also, too, you can't predict injuries, too. So you can have all these, like your team and my team have all these names, right? But if guys get hurt, we're fucked. So it's like we also need guys to stay healthy. And I got Day Jetta and Montgomery injured, and I'm still finding ways to win. Touchdown, Eagles! A.J. Brown, baby. Let's go. I didn't know if you were going to come or not. I figured you were going to show up. I mean, you always show up on every duck stream that I do, but I actually just felt that we were going to go slow because we were emotionally damaged, from that Husky loss, you know. And it shows you, like, even with Reflect, the Seahawks now are up there, with the Lions and the Eagles and the Niners as a top 4 team, like the Ravens are in the AFC. And you can look really, really good one week, right, and beat the Buccaneers and look like dog shit on the road to the Ravens. But I still think that the Lions are a good team, but it shows you without their RB1, David Montgomery, they're exposed. They're not as good. Just like if Kenneth Walker got hurt for the Seahawks, they wouldn't be as good. You got to have that RB1. Gibbs is not good enough. Or like, Michael Penix Jr. beating Oregon's ass and having his Heisman moment, and then going against Arizona State and putting up a 45 QBR with no touchdowns and 2 picks. Like, what? Do I still think Michael Penix Jr. is awesome? Yes, but then the haters will say, well, look at this. And Drake May did shitty. Michael Penix Jr. did shitty. And Caleb Williams did shitty. So it was just like week 6 in the NFL. The same thing happened on the college football side. But that doesn't mean that I'm giving up on the Lions or Michael Penix Jr. You get socked in the mouth sometimes, especially when you go on the road. And then in Washington's case, you're at home. And they just had the hangover from beating Oregon. And Oregon had the hangover in the first half of losing to Washington. Sometimes it's hard to be able to come back. But it's not like I think Detroit is garbage or Michael Penix Jr. is garbage. But it just shows you when you go on the road and you don't have your RB1, you're not going to be as good. And sometimes when you're at home and you have a Heisman winner quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., sometimes it's an off game. Sometimes the defense brings their natty performance against you. Yeah. But also, too, it's the first game all year where Lamar actually made a focus to go to, Mark Andrews, and he hasn't done that in like 2 years. So if you go to Mark Andrews as your number one option instead of fucking going to Rashad Bateman, fucking OBJ, and, fucking Zay, it's like Zay Flowers, go to the guy that is going to get you the most points and that's going to help the defense. And that's Mark Andrews, and he hasn't done that besides this week. And lo and behold, he goes to Mark Andrews a lot on National Tight End Day, and then boom shakalaka, you fuck up the Lions. So, those things go hand in hand. So, NFC North and South are booty. Yeah, I agree. But again, if Montgomery was there, it wouldn't have been as bad. Would the Ravens have still won that game? Yes. Would they have blown out the Lions? Probably. But Montgomery might have been able to score maybe once, maybe get them, a little bit different flow in the game. It would have maybe led to a Montgomery touchdown on the goal line. Maybe Amon-Ra would have got in once, not twice or 3 times. But again, I don't. You're not a believer. I still am. So if I'm doing my pecking order, even when the Eagles lost, to the Jets, doesn't matter to me. Niners lost to the Browns, I don't care. Lions lost to the Ravens, doesn't matter. But now it's like Eagles, Niners, Lions, Seahawks, not necessarily in any specific order. Those are the top 4. And then AFC, you got Chiefs, you got Dolphins, you got Jags, and you got Ravens. Bills are no longer in the top 4. So those are the top 8 teams, in my opinion, right now. But then you're going to play the Browns at home next week, and you can't lose that game. If you want to stay in the top 4 and not have a team like the Cowboys leapfrog you, or like a whoever at Tampa Bay or Atlanta Falcons or whoever, you got to make sure you're winning those games at home that you should. End of the third quarter, 24-17 Miami. But also it is tough, to go to like Cincinnati and win. Like, even though you have a better team than Cincinnati, it's tough to win on the road in the NFL. $5 holla. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. What do you want to see for photos? You got anything specific? Appreciate you. Because perception of the Seahawks is good right now, top 4. But then if you end up losing to the Browns, 30-3, what do you think the perception of the Seahawks is going to be if they lose like 30-3 at home to the Browns? It's not going to be good. You know what I mean? So hopefully that doesn't happen. Not for just your sake, but just in general for the Pacific Northwest. And anytime you have a team that has good balance or that's getting better, obviously Seahawks don't have that full balance yet. But they should be able to get these games at home. Especially against teams that are lower than them, like the Cardinals and the Browns. And it was good to see JSN get in the end zone. Me and Megan were talking about that before, and like, oh, is he a bust? And I was like, no, I don't think he's a bust. He just hasn't, did as much because he hasn't got as many targets. So that really made me happy seeing him get in the end zone today. And it probably did for his confidence as well. 24-17 Eagles. Keep doing your thing. All right, fourth quarter, baby. Good game. Finally, we actually get a primetime game that's worth a damn. You know, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night sometimes is dog shit. So it's like two top 5 teams in the NFL. Fun. Mostert? Can't have Mostert fumble. 56, 44 to go. Appreciate you, Reflect. Yeah, it's all about targets. So that's what I was telling Megan. She was like, how long do we wait before Jackson Smith-Njigba is considered a bust by the public? And some haters are already going to say bust, or like Seahawks fans that don't know football. But it's like, if you're not getting him any targets, you know, like if he's getting like 8 targets a game and he's dropping 2 a game and he's only catching 1 or 2 passes, then yeah, I mean, if that's happening every week, then maybe it's not looking good. But if you're only getting like 2 to 5 chances a game and maybe a catch or 2, that's not enough really to determine if he's a bust yet or not. I got to be able to see him get 8 to 10 targets, how many catches, how many footballs are actually fucking catchable, and then like what are you doing after the catch? So I would give a guy like that usually a couple of years before I can say, yep, he's a bust. You know, I'm not going to be able to say it this year, too early. So, but good win, you know, for the Hawks, a game that you should have won. And the Browns next week will be a tougher defense. But since you're at home with the 12s, you know, that crowd will be hyphy. And who knows who the quarterback's going to be for the Browns. So you should be able to win. And no Nick Chubb. So, you know, you got a couple things in your advantage. But Jim Schwartz is a hell of a defensive coordinator. But they couldn't get the job today. You know, them and the Colts went back and forth. Almost picked off. You know, but again, the defense got tired. So, yeah. You know, like I said, I think some Seahawks fans are already like bust, bust, bust. And you and me were very critical on Witherspoon because we were already thinking, hell, Gonzalez is better. He's got more size, more length. He's got more skills. And then we were just waiting for that breakout game for Witherspoon. And probably you and me didn't even think we were going to get it this year. We thought, fuck, I mean, if he had one good game, you know, when is it going to be? But I don't think we saw, both of us were like, we're leaning more towards the bust rather than maybe being a starter or average or good. And, you know, we have to see him do it again. But so far, that was a big breakout game against the shitty Giants. You know, so I think both of us is, you know, maybe not fully sold, but we're a lot more sold than we were when they drafted him. When you and me were like, no, like, why? You know, especially when you got a guy from Oregon right there, like, why? But, you know, he likes system guys, his guys. He's not going to pick the best player. Yeah, Pete is going to pick the best player for him, which doesn't mean it's going to be lined up with the best in the country. It's best for him, which might be 10 picks too early, like maybe with like a Dan Campbell, what they did with Gibbs and Campbell. Best for them, not best overall. But sometimes best for them ends up exceeding best overall. It just depends on you know what kind of production the guy gets. So, but I'm still a believer in both. You know, yeah. And then and then preseason practice, you know, it's like golly, and then you already got Jamal Adams injury prone left and right. It's like hopefully, you know, someone to pair with Tariq Woolen, you know. So sometimes we can be surprised, even though, you know, we feel like we're pretty good evaluators of talent, you know, but sometimes even the best of the best can be surprised. Tua takes the slide. But I am happy that Smith-Njigba got the touchdown because the longer you go as a rookie and you're highly touted and you don't get a touchdown, you feel like shit. And then the quarterback and the team might start looking at you different, like or bust eyes, you know, instead of like, hey, keep going, stay motivated. And then until it gets to the point, well, fuck it. I guess we're just going to go to DK, but he was hurt. And then that was a part of why Jackson Smith-Njigba got an end zone look, right? And then on top of that, with Lockett. So it's like they got other, and then Bobo got in the end zone. Very cool. Bobo and Smith and Jigba. Your boy watched the game. I'm always watching. I'm always watching for the Bobos. Bobos on the Lolos. All right. Little Jake Bobo action. They're still not complete, but they overachieve a hell of a lot. They still have room on that D line, maybe another linebacker, another secondary player that can stay healthy over Jamal, but they're getting there. It's not like I think that they're dog shit. I always thought Seattle was like the, fourth, fifth, sixth best. It's just like to take that next leap, you just got to get a little bit more depth, and which I feel they will. And then the real question will be in a year or two if Gino's the guy or not, and they go for someone else. Floater picked. Big play Slay with the floater from Tua. Wow. Big. Right when they were going to tie the game, too. Downs his money, too. Wow. Big play Slay. Making the play. But that's just a shitty throw by Tua. You floated it up there in the double coverage. And obviously, if it was a one-on-one ball, he might have got it. You know what I mean? But you got to know those safeties are going to be floating over. They're going to be cluing. They're going to be looking at the eyes of the quarterback, and they're going to go right and then make their way back to the left. And the good safeties are able to get big picks like that. And nice pick by Big Play Slay there. I'll throw up a photo. I know Zini loves some Big Play Slay. He said, shh, haters. Haters, 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 haters. Shh, shh, shh. He may be doing good, but he's not doing good enough for you in fantasy. It's been a disappointment like Ridley. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. You pick these guys in fantasy to do awesome for you. Pittman might be doing pretty good for you, but he could do more, or you need someone better than him at wide receiver. Like, he can be the wide receiver too, but like, I feel like in certain games that he could have been better. There's been games where he's been amazing, but I feel that with his potential, he could do more. He's not doing as much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're doing 8.5, but you could be 10. You could be 9.5. Like, you got potential to be this wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, Godwin, type of level of player, but sometimes you got to get in beast mode and be Mike Evans instead of just being settling for Godwin or above Godwin numbers here and there. It's like, with him, it's also going to come down to the quarterback, Gardner Minshew or AR. And it's going to come down to O-line, and also the other teammates that he has, but today was good, but there's been weeks where he could have done better for you. And the reason that I know that is because I spy on your shit and I know what you're getting with all your players. Calvin Ridley's been a bust for you. If Calvin Ridley got the ball, like all the media experts proclaimed that he was going to get the ball, you probably would have like 3 wins right now. But they have not been giving him the ball heavy. They've been distributing it evenly, and sometimes not as much to even Ridley. Sometimes Ridley scores. Sometimes he gets like nothing, like 1 catch for 5 yards. It sucks. You deserve better than that. Can't take chances in fantasy like on guys like Ridley. Got to go with the proven guys. And then if Ridley's there later, then you get him. Like when Godwin's getting taken, then you take him, later. But when there's other top tier guys available, don't go for Ridley. Go for the top tier. Then if Ridley's still there, then take a chance. Short game. Dolphins are containing the run, I think, a little bit better than people anticipated tonight. So Michael Pittman's ranking is 16th. He's averaging 14.8 as a wide receiver one, which is pretty fucking good. 23, 13, 16. He had a 4 and a 10. Got to be better there. But sometimes it's a defensive matchup. And then 19 and 16. So his numbers have actually been pretty fucking good. But like I said, I want to see consistency. When you're going to be the best of the best, I don't want to see too many of those lower games. And I know sometimes you're going to have them. Even the GOATs sometimes have them. But if you're going to have a bad game, let's get 8 or 9 points for you in a bad game. So that way, anything above and beyond, that way you don't have to worry about the nightmare of looking at your stat and having a 4 out of your wide receiver one. Bad game, 9. You're expecting 15 to 30, but you get a 9. And you're like, fuck, I got a 9 though, right? You don't want to look at that stat line thinking you're going to get 10 to 30 and you get a 4. Then you lost in fantasy. You're like, oh, golly, my wide receiver one got a fucking 4. We want the best for you. Got to get you off that donut. Chief, sending me pictures of ribs that look delicious. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good, with a little pickle on the side. Shep came in the room and I showed the picture. He said, ooh. How are you, brother? Chiefs look good, so I'll break it down. Mahomes look great, right? Rice is your new breakout receiver. He's better than Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore. Kelsey's Kelsey, National Tight End Day. Pacheco is a beast mode. Offensive line look great. Number 1 in batting, footballs down in the league. Not just Chris Jones. And the defense looked good. It was the first game in 2023 where the Chiefs look like the fucking Chiefs. If you could only play the dog shit Chargers defense every week, what my fantasy numbers would look like. And reflect. We would just be killing it. 400 plus yards. I need to see some 3, 4, 5 touchdown games. Whether that be 1, 2, 3 to Kelsey. And I don't got Kelsey, reflect does, but I need some fantasy points. I don't want to see this bullshit, 14 with Mahomes, 4th and 1, touch push. First down, Eagles. But I was impressed. I decided not to do reaction videos and watch the game. Me and Odin's son were talking and watching the game together while I was watching it with Paisley and spending time with her. I really got to break down the film and watch it. And luckily, it was local for me in Oregon. So I was able to watch that whole game. And even though I can root for Herbert, knowing that I'm a Duck through and through and he's one of my favorites, that finger being injured, even if it wasn't, he's not elite. He's just good. And sometimes he throws fucked up. He throws high, he throws low. Sometimes the offensive line is good, sometimes it's not. He has been injured with the ribs and the finger, but even when he's healthy, sometimes the throws are just not there. He really needs coaching to get his name up there with the Jalen Hurts and the Mahomes. He needs coaching, help, a mentor. Otherwise, he'll never be that good ever. It's like, do you want to have a mentor and go to an AFC Championship game or Super Bowl? If you don't get the mentor or the right team, you're never going to go. I want to see him go at least once before his career is over. That defense is so fucking overrated. I like Asante Samuel Jr. I like Derwin James. I like Joey Bosa. I like Khalil Mack. But goddamn, those guys never fucking show up. The offense shows up. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is hurt, Eckler, right? Herbert most of the time, will show up with those receivers, right? Tip drill incomplete. God damn, that defense sucks. That defense is fucking terrible. It's like being a Bronco fan and Charger fan or Raider fan. Golly, that's tough. Like, you never see anything getting better with the Raiders and a guy. The Broncos and Chargers are cursed with injuries. And then for the Chargers, you actually have talent to be a top fucking 5, top 10 team in the NFL, and you have names, but the names never do anything. They are fucking overrated. If you want to say Herbert's overrated, yeah, a little bit. Derwin James and all these guys on that defense, they never stay fucking healthy. They're good when they're healthy, but when are they healthy and good and playing together? Never. And then when they do, they get their ass kicked. That's my breakdown of that game. See, that's how I keep it real. And fucking Herbert's one of my favorites. So for me to be able to criticize Herbert, obviously I'm like, Herbert's the best in the NFL. No, he's not. But if he gets coaching and the right supporting cast, and the right teammates, yeah, maybe he could go to an AFC Championship game or 2 if he plays for another 10, 15 years. Hell, maybe Herbert gets to a Super Bowl and loses before his career is over. That would be kind of cool if he gets there and wins, but it's like for him to win, they would have to go twice. He'd have to go once and lose and then win the next one, but that's probably if he's not on the Chargers and he's on another team, because I don't think you're going to do it with the Chargers. They're fucking cursed. Curse dog. Curse dog. But you feel my evaluation of the Chiefs? Me watching that game very, very closely. Rice is 1,000 times better than Kadarius Toney. Rice is better than Sky Moore. Rice is better than Noah Gray. Rice is better than Justin Watson. Rice is better than everybody besides Kelsey and Pacheco. Get the guy the ball. And you guys should pick him up in fantasy. I would have picked him up if my wide receivers were thin, but someone should pick him up, put him on your bench, and then if you get froggy, put him in there. He's been scoring almost every week. I've been watching his stats for the last month, and if I didn't have a deep wide receiver core and have needs at defense and kicker, tight end, quarterback, that motherfucker would have already been on my team a month ago. I knew talent when I saw it, and Mahomes likes him. He's going to him often, and when he goes to him often, what is Rice doing? He's fucking scoring touchdowns in the fucking red zone. Pick him up. If you don't, I will. But he's been climbing the ladder as far as like sleeper wide receiver that you would only play. Like I have Hollywood Brown on my bench and sitting there just in case. But that would be a piece that would even be more valuable than Hollywood Brown lately because Hollywood Brown ain't getting in the fucking end zone, quarterback situation. And you got goddamn Patrick Mahomes. You're the number one receiver now. It's either you see it or you don't. I say it. I shouldn't be giving away my secrets to you guys because I'm essentially telling you who to pick up in fantasy. And if you do, and you have injuries at wide receiver, you pick him up. He might get you 10 to 20 points. Don't get any ideas, Reflect. You're already going through your brain right now. All right. You're already trying to make your team better. You're like, well, I got guys on the bench. I mean, Deontay Johnson coming off IR. You got Waddle, and stuff. But you plug in a guy like a Rice, it's not a big name. Who gives a fuck if it's a big name or not? If I see 17.5 points in my wide receiver 2 out of Rice, am I fucking happy? Yeah, I'm fucking happy. So that's when you know the league. And when you know the league and you watch more games than everyone and you read, you figure out the sleepers. And then the hardcore fan like Chief will be like, yeah, he knows what he's talking about, or nope, he's an idiot. So you're rolling, dude. Rolling. Like Undertaker. Limp Bizkit. You already know it. You're just happy that the Bills got hurt. Now they're dog shit. The Dolphins don't have an O-line and defense that's reliable week in and week out. And the toughest competition you have is the Jags. And if you're looking at one team in the playoffs that you might lose to, besides Miami, right, would be the Jags. Ravens are good here and there too, and the Ravens could upset someone also. The Jags have that good balance. And if Lamar goes to Mark Andrews for a couple tutties, yeah, the Ravens could upset someone this year too. Their defense with Roquan Smith is nice. Sack lunch galore and some picks. Like looking like a defense when they had T. Sizzle, Ed Reed, and Ray Lewis. Not that good, but at times the Raven defense has its moments. So $5 holla. Everything's well because Mahomes gave me some fantasy points, baby. About fucking time. Drafted him third in the fucking third round. But now with Josh Allen, he's still putting up points, but the defense is struggling. And Jalen, so now it's like if you got Josh Allen and you got Jalen or you got Mahomes in fantasy, you probably feel the most confident out of anybody in the league because you feel that, okay, unless you maybe have Tua and Tua starts going, that would be another good one too. But sometimes Tua's good, sometimes bad Tua. But when Tua's good, he's like, holy shit, like 50 good, so it's like sometimes even above Mahomes, Jalen, and Josh Allen because he gives you that Tyreek factor. No one else has got the Tyreek, right? I need one. I need a Tyreek. He's like, oh, dog, you know your stuff. Kadarius Toney, dog shit. Sky Moore, potential. I like you, but you're just not as good. Can't count on you, right? Well, Justin Watson, Noah Gray, I see you. Why am I throwing to you? Kelsey, Pacheco, McKinnon, Pacheco, Rice, touchdown. Simple as that. You either know or you don't. But I'm telling you right now, if you're playing in fantasy, pick up Rice in fantasy. If he's sitting on the wire, do it. Because I know I would, and I would throw him on my bench. And if I ever have any worries about a bad matchup one week and I'm looking for depth, that I might consider touchdown Eagles. That it can be a low-name guy that puts up bigger points. Like I'll give you the point total. See, I'm giving you guys my goddamn secrets, and some of you guys are in the fucking league, but that's what I do. I keep it 100 all the time. I even give you my secrets, okay? All right, so let's look at him. He's 48th ranked. He's averaging 9.5 points, which is, there's guys that are higher. All right, but look at the numbers: 11.6, 4, 10.9, 6.2. So in the first month, 2 good games, 2 shitty games. Didn't really get a whole lot of looks. Extra point is up, and it's good, 31-17. But the last 3 games, and when you look at fantasy, you never want to look at from the beginning to the end. You can look, right? But you always want to look within the last 2 to 3 weeks, and you want to evaluate trends. How is he looking? Is the target share same? Is it going higher, right? And then when you're looking at targets, then you look at receptions, then you look at yards, and then you look to see if they have any fucking tutties. He scored in the first game of the season. That gave him the 11.6 and didn't score, then got 10.9, didn't score. Last 3 weeks, right? 5 targets, 4 catches, 33 yards. Not a lot, but a tutty in the red zone. Boom, 13.3. Denver, 4 for 4, 72 yards. Almost had a look in the end zone, but didn't, 11.2. That's when you should have picked him up, right? Unless you have plenty of depth at wide receiver. You saw 2 good games back to back. Today, 5 for 6, 60 yards, tutty in the red zone, and could have probably had another one. 17. It's the time. And then, like I said, I would have picked him up a while ago when he had his probably 10.9 game because I could see the trend, but I don't need wide receivers right now. I need more depth at defense and kicker. But for a guy that puts up 13, 11, 17, this should be the number 1 piece in the wire that's picked up or one of the top wire pieces. Like if I'm looking at wide receivers, Downs would be another good one. He's ranked 47th. He's averaging 10.3. And that would be another guy that I would pick up. 6, 7, 13, and then 5, but the last 3 games, 15, 13, 23. So it's like you either notice or you don't. But if you pick up those guys, sometimes it's scary to throw them in the starting lineup. Like, oh, I got fucking Josh Downs, over Keenan Allen, or I got, fucking Rashee Rice, in there over Mike Evans. It sounds hard to do, trust me, but sometimes you just have to look at production and get over the name, even if it's a Mike Evans. And I'm like, oh, fuck, man. Keenan Allen, Mike Evans have been doing really good. Do I really want to be that idiot that puts in Josh Downs or Rice, and then they put up a 2, and I look like a fucking moron, and then I lose the week? But if you can trust yourself and you look at, trends, 1 week, good. 2 weeks, good. 3 weeks, good. At some point, it's going to stop. But if you can ride that momentum and get on that Uncle Mo, that could help. Like a team like Reflect. If he wants to be able to be that top dog, sometimes Deontay Johnson, fuck him. Grab someone that actually is doing something good. I know I would. Like, you want to keep Deontay Johnson? I had him at 1.2. I had him just sitting there on IR, but then eventually I was like, whatever. I'll get something else. I know what's good. I know who's got talent, but do I trust Kenny Pickett? Fuck no. Pickens is a better receiver. So Deontay could do something, but why do I got to wait a fucking 3 weeks for him to do something where I drop that piece and maybe pick up one of those 2? See how I'm setting you up to win the championship here? You pick up a Rice or a Downs, but someone will probably pick them before you, so, you can try to put in a claim and they'll probably already be gone. But those would be key ideal pieces for Reflect or me to win a championship. Do I need them? No. Does he need them? No. He's weaker at wide receiver, though. And then if you get guys like that and they're putting up 17 to 23, that might be just as much as A.J. Brown or Tyreek. So, yeah, the name doesn't sound sexy. I got Tyreek and Devontae Adams. Oh, I got Rashee Rice and fucking, Josh Downs. But I scored fucking 10 more points than you, and then you might have won. So sometimes it's about taking risks, but also making our teams better and noticing who's, like, breaking out in front of our – who's the next Puka? Josh Downs? Rashee Rice? That's how you win fantasy championships. That's why these, networks watch. That's why EA Sports watches. They know I ain't no fucking dummy. If we did Sports Jeopardy against every other YouTube channel, golly, good night. They would lose. Take that, Astros. Game 7 tomorrow. What are we doing? Monday Night Football or Game 7 of Stros and Rangers? That's the question. Tua? Well, time is up for snack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Yeah, but the sad thing is, though, is that the Astros are going to win tomorrow. So we're going to end up getting Philadelphia advancing tomorrow and Houston. And then everyone on planet Earth and their mama is going to be a fucking Philadelphia fan. And then hopefully with the fans all on board, Philly can win in 6 or 7 games by like a miracle. because they're going to give them all they got and some. All my buddies, Mariner buddies, Rangers with like 8 S's. Now I got to hit him with the with the Little John. Or maybe I'll do Dave Chappelle dressed up as Little John. There we go. 12 you know what time it is? Time for another sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. That's one of my favorite little gifs is the but then it's like Little John, but dressed up as Dave Chappelle, like in the Chappelle show. I always have certain ones that I always like going to. That one is money. Anything Chappelle show in a meme or a gif or a gif, money. But the thing is if you understand the league and you actually listen to the people that are in the room, like Sarah has Josh Downs. No one's talking about fucking Josh Downs unless you're a Colt fan, but then you're able to find a fantasy gem that we know is good here, but most channels don't know who the fuck that is, you know? But sometimes that could be someone that could help you in a championship or give you that depth. Both guys I would roster. So I will try to get both. I probably will not. I probably won't even get one. But, there'll be guys that I'm going to try to get to improve the team. But you got to look at all the running backs, all the wide receivers, all the tight ends, like everybody in fantasy. You could argue those are the two most valuable pieces that are left on the wire right now across the board. It's either you're smart, you watch games, you listen to people like Sarah that knows who's good, boom shakalaka, Sam Laporta, tried to give it to you, reflect for a fucking bag of chips. You said no, I kept him, boom shakalaka, working for me. But you got to listen to the people that are hardcore for their teams, because if you listen, right, you can make good decisions ahead of time. They see it. We see it. We have the ESP. We see it before they see it, the Globe and the rest of the people. Right? And if you see it 2 weeks before everyone else, boom, shakalaka, beat you, right? Money made, boom. Notice the talent before you, right? Got them, before they had 4 games good in a row. I got them with 1. Boom, shakalaka, 20, 20, 20. You have that insight. That's how you win money in betting. That's how you are good in point spread, parlay, fantasy. And fantasy is $1 million, $1 billion business. There's a lot of money. Secrets. But do you see what I'm saying? But the thing is your son is smart enough that he would say exactly what I just said. And if he looked on the wire and actually knows people or at least takes the time to click on the fucking names to see who's fucking doing good, that's a part of it too. Do you click on the goddamn names or not? Are you looking on the goddamn names and clicking, right? You click on the names, you take some time, you'll be better at fantasy. You fucking don't click on the goddamn names, and you'll never see the Rice and the fucking Josh Downs stats, and you'll never even think to grab a guy like that. And then here comes fucking Reflect or whoever, boom shakalaka, gets them, and then somehow starts them over, like a Waddle, but then they get 23 points, and you're like, look what I did. Look what fantasy genius I did. I fucking bench Waddle, boom, and I put in Josh Downs because I know my team is good. So if I fuck up on one spot, whatever, I'm going to take a Josh Downs over a Waddle. Boom, shakalaka, 24 points, you win. And not only do you win with style points to prove that you know football, that you can go for the lower name. It's the scariest thing to do in fantasy overall and to be successful. If you can have the balls to bench a big name for a low name guy that's just badass, but no one knows it yet. And then boom, you do. And then they should give you like 50 to 100 points extra when you have the balls to do that for any player, and it works. Look what I did. 12 targets, 10 catches, 102 yards, 2 tutties. Fucking Josh Downs. Okay. That's why I like stats analytics, because I like to go deeper from, the energy and the information and the film, to be able to be the best of the best, in the world. There's a lot of people out there that will know their team, but that's all they know. And maybe they don't even know it. So what do we think and reflect on, like an honest opinion, just us looking at the evaluation? Caleb Williams, I don't know if you watched any of those 3 games. You probably didn't see any of the Drake May, because most people don't watch North Carolina. But Caleb Williams against Utah, I'm not sure if you got a chance to peek at that or see the highlights. And also Michael Penix Jr., 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. Is there a little bit of concern with all of the quarterbacks? Caleb, Michael Penix Jr., Drake May, Shedeur Sanders, Bo Nix, Quinn Ewers, and all the rest, that maybe this draft is overrated, that maybe the quarterbacks are really, really good against shitty. No, right? They're good against shitty teams, but when they play the good teams, they can't do it. Like, I don't want to see that goddamn narrative come true, and then all of a sudden, all of these elite quarterbacks end up being just bootios, and then instead of getting 2 to 3 to 4 good quarterbacks, we get 1 out of like 11. Is that what's going to happen? And it might not even be the guy that's the most athletic. He might be the guy that goes to the right fit of team and coach, and then like a Shedeur Sanders going to the Falcons or something, and then of course, Caleb looks like he's got more athletic ability, but if that athletic ability is thrown to the fucking other team, Utah can't beat them 3 years in a row. Record not very good against good teams. I hope that's not the case, but it's something that needs to be addressed. Caleb Williams versus non-top 25, 23 starts, 70.3% completion percentage. Passing yards, 317. Touchdown, 78. Pick 7. Get the fuck out of here. 23 starts, 70% completion percentage, 317 yards a game, 78 touchdowns, and 7 picks. Phenomenal, right? Versus the top 25, 5 games. His completion percentage goes down 20% to 51. Dog shit. Passing yards to 172. Dog shit. Touchdowns to picks. 6 touchdowns, 6 picks. Swift. First down, Eagles. So does that mean that all our favorite quarterbacks, that they can't play against good competition? And what's the NFL? Going to be better than a goddamn top 25 in college. If you can't do it on the top 25 college level, how the hell are you going to do top 25 NFL? Like, you're going to need help. Like supporting cast, O-line, fucking defense, good coach, good play caller. Hopefully you have a good fucking running back, some studs to throw to at wide receiver and tight end, or I might be fucked. That's a concern, man. Yeah, but I told you. I don't hide anything. Rules, every league that I've ever been in, typically with this, is that the tight end is available. The only tight end not available is if you do like NFL or Yahoo, or you do one of the other ones. But if you end up doing the main one that we do here with the ESPN or whatever, then yeah, it's always been like that from the very beginning of its existence. It's always you could play a running back, wide receiver, or tight end. I mean, hell, why would you even play 2 tight ends unless you have Andrews and Laporta? Or Kelsey and Laporta. There would be no point of doing it, but it does give you the option. But normally people think, well, I could probably get more points out of a running back or a wide receiver, even if the tight end is top 4. Because the top 4 tight end is cool, but what is that going to give you? 12, 13? You could probably get that out of a wide receiver on the wire, So, but I guess it's just one of those things for pride. You're like, look at me, Andrews and Laporta. Boom. I'm doing 2 tight ends. I'm taking a risk, And then if they both get 25 points, risk earned. You won. But how often does that happen? Look at me, tight end. Mark Andrews, 25 points. Flex, Laporta, 25. Then you could say I won. That was. But if they do like a 12 or 13, you're probably leaving points on the bench, and you could have got more. So then it would be a fail. Then you left points on the bench with whoever, Keenan Allen. Bills D got me 1. That made me happy. I love getting a 1 on defense. I might as well just give Megan the win this week and take the L. I don't even care if I win by like 60 to 80 or whatever. Neil Don. And more Jalen Hurts stats. Yeah, Bo Nix is not better than Caleb Williams. But if Bo Nix went to a team that was like the Buccaneers and, got a place where he could actually throw the ball and it would be up to him to make the decisions, that could be like a dream fit for Bo Nix is going to Tampa, because then because Baker's just like him. They moved kind of similar, and then it would just come down to who can make the better decision. And if it's Bo Nix, then bye-bye, Baker. Then you lose your job. But if Bo Nix went to like a shitty team, oh, he'd be donezo. You're not even playing. Bo Nix on the Jets, you're fucked. Or I mean, they got a defense. I guess you got Garrett Wilson, but offensive line can't stay healthy. Right. But that's what it would take to play a tight end at the flex, where you think you're going to get 20 points out of the player. Like 15, I might be able to get that out of a running back or wide receiver. Big whoop. Sometimes running backs and wide receivers get 30, 40, 50 points. So it's like if you're putting a tight end in there, like no matter how good the tight, I mean, even if you had the top two, like somehow you had Kelsey and then you traded for Mark Andrews and allowed it. And then they both were getting 20 points for like a together, I guess that would be the only scenario you could be like, you know what? Maybe the wide receiver scored more, or maybe they didn't. But 20 and 20, that's like, okay, that was worth it. But I mean, even 2019, 2018. But if it's like under that, then it's like, nah. I mean, just depends on what you have. 31-17 Eagles. 6-1. They're kind of good. Kelly Greens. Fly, Eagles, fly. On the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. Get a touchdown. 1, 2, 3. Hit them low. Hit them high. And watch them Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly. On the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. You already know your boy's hardcore if you know a fucking theme song fucking for a team and it ain't your own. That's when you're next level. It actually is the most catchy theme song out of all of them. Did go to an Eagles bar that was like 5 minutes from my house for a few years, and they were hella hardcore. Some of them were rude, but they did let me have my game at the bar. I was the only one to be able to get sound. And if you go to a bar and get your game on when it's not supposed to be, it's like a theme bar. No one gets their goddamn game on a TV, even if it's like a shit TV in the corner. But they were cool enough to do it for me. But also, I wore like the hard hat and like the Derek Brooks and gloves and shit. So they knew I cared and whatnot. But audio at a bar, that's like unheard of. That's like yeah, you're living with like Drake or something. Chiefs 6-1. I can look it up. Stats is always cool to look up. Hey, Mimo. All right, I'm looking. All right, let's take a look here. Texas Tech. We got this guy named P. Mahomes. You might have heard of him, but also we have to understand Patrick Mahomes isn't this like genetic freak. His dad did play baseball professionally, so it's like passing down the genetics. The dad already had the genes, so that's why we're seeing Patrick Mahomes be like a goddamn robot. Because it's like Ken Griffey Senior, Ken Griffey Junior. You're passing the shit down, and then he turned into beast mode. So 2014, as a freshman, 56.8. 1,547 yards, 16 tutties, 4 picks, just getting acclimated to the college game, right? Then 2015, getting a little bit more reps, right? Then completion percentage went up to 63.5, 4,653 yards, improved dramatically, actually got to play a full season as the guy, 36 tutties, 15 picks, okay? Last year, and what the Chiefs saw, and they saw potential, right? And that's why they traded it up. So completion percentage goes up slightly, 65.7%, not 70, right? Because they are obviously Texas Tech. Look at the division that they're in, okay? But the passing yards, he went from 1,547 as a freshman, sophomore, 4,653. So, let me just bump it up 3,000 yards in my fucking sophomore season. Hey, thanks, Dad, for the genes, not Jinkos, like good genes, okay? Then senior, junior year when he gets drafted, right? 5,052 yards in college. That's what Andy Reid saw in Bieniemy. 41 touchdowns, 10 picks. So now it makes sense. You see the trajectory. 16-4. Dad played as a pitcher. Okay, 36-15. Let's see him have a beast mode year, and then we'll pull the trigger. Boom, 41-10, 5,000 yards. Checked off all the boxes. the yardage, the touchdowns, and then you got your interceptions down to 10 or less. Boom. Patrick Mahomes. Also helps when you have Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. So. The biggest lie also too is like not a lot of people watched Mahomes because he was on Texas Tech. Unless you're following that team specifically or that division. But if you weren't, most people only caught a little bit or none. So to actually have seen anything, it's not like he was very highly touted. I mean, some people knew that his dad played baseball, but at that time period, the time that he broke out was with him and Baker Mayfield had that game against each other. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, where they combined for like fucking 20 touchdowns. So it's like, yeah, that's what put him on the radar. But again, it's the progression, and then the dad playing professionally for, you know, Royals and a few, and then going like Japan, make that bread. Pat Mahomes. Kind of good. I imagine there are stats on there, but I mean, Texas Tech, USC is like going against Notre Dame and like good competition in the Pac-12. Like who the hell did Texas Tech fucking play? And and then also too, how is the line? How is the defense? It's like you like Mahomes. Like you could have a dog shit O line, dog shit defense, dog shit running back, and maybe you got good stats with your receivers. Like I'm not sure if you would be able to have a good fair evaluation. Being in that conference, and then who knows how good they were unless you're a fan and you watched. I don't think us can say anything because we're not fans of that team and we didn't watch them in depth. So no one really knows besides the people that actually are a fan of that team. Everyone else is just lying. Oh, I watched him all the time. Yeah, bullshit. Shit, I wish I did. How many? What top 25 wins? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. I mean, it's got. I mean, I got something that's got fucking stats on stats on stats. Like we'd be sitting here for a long time. Ranks in elite passes in Texas Tech history. We're going in senior season to enter the NFL draft. Ranked third in passing yards, 11,252. Touchdown passes, 93, and attempts, 1,349. Completions, 857, ranking second all among Red Raider quarterbacks with 22 rushing touchdowns. So that's another aspect of his game. They saw the athleticism from Daddy. Also second in touchdowns, responsible for 115. Third in career in yards of total offense, 12,097, as well as career attempts, 1,657. And another part of it is just paying attention. Became the nation's leading passer during the final season as a Red Raider. So obviously, if you're the top dog, your dad played professionally baseball, yeah, 5,000 yards, trade up. This could be the guy. Got the lead in the country with 5,052 yards, something that they didn't mention. He only did it in 12 games. Beast mode. And a big part of it also was his coach at the time, Cliff Kingsbury. If he didn't have Cliff Kingsbury in that offense, kind of like a spread offense for Florida in the 90s with Steve Spurrier, then those numbers probably don't get inflated either. And then there's just stats on stats on stats on NCAA record book. Ranked sixth all time in FBS single season almanac for total offense. 5,337. Texas Tech record book set the single game records for pass attempts: 88 completions, 52 passing yards, 734. Most plays, 100. Total offense, 819 against Oklahoma against Baker Mayfield. I remember. 5,052 yards in 12 games, fourth all time in program history. NCAA rankings conclude the season as the nation's leader in total offense. Per game, 442.7 yards, 421 passing yards per game. Damn, 421, Mahomes? Golly. Points responsible, 318. Points responsible for per game, 26.5. Second in completions per game, 32.3. Third in passing touchdowns, 41. 12th in passing efficiency, 157. Completion percentage, 657. Also 15th in yards per pass, 8.55. 40th in passing yards per completion, 13.02. And 41st in rushing touchdowns, 12. First of 4 games with at least 500 passing yards. Like, for someone not to trade up for Mahomes sounds kind of silly now. Like, how good he is. Like, records. Golly. That's why it pays to read. The people that read, right, and watch the film, they find the gems. And if you didn't read and didn't, then you had no goddamn idea. But it was a perfect storm. Andy Reid, the enemy, Kelsey, you're the one that's going to get us over the hump. You're the guy. You're the new. You're the new Joe Montana. Run with it. And he's like, well, okay, I will. I'm Patrick Mahomes. Kermit the Frog, number 1. Oh, definitely could be. I already said that I thought that if Justin Jefferson didn't get hurt, he could get number 2 behind Jerry Rice and be with, Randy Moss, T.O., and Megatron and Larry Fitzgerald. And I feel with like Mahomes, depending on how many Super Bowls he can get, he's probably not going to get as many as Tom Brady, but he could be considered, the best modern day player since Tom Brady. And then you still got Joe Montana up there and Peyton Manning, John Elway. So you got a lot of guys, but it's like I could definitely see John Elway going down, and then Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and then Patrick Mahomes. It just depends on how high do you go on the list. Same thing with Kelsey. The longer you play, the more rings you get, the higher you go. The more rings you get, Kelsey could be number 1 of all time if he gets like 3 more rings. Gets a couple more rings. Mahomes, keeps getting 3, 4, 5 more rings. And then we're at a different level. So. Shit, could you imagine Patrick Mahomes in Seattle? Like, there's only going to be certain places where it's going to work efficiently, and you have to have the coach and you have to have the pieces. But like I said, there's not many coaches as good as Andy Reid or Pete Carroll or Mike Tomlin or Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay or Mike McDaniel. It's like kind of the newer bunch, and then Dan Campbell, and then a few others like Dougie P or Belichick. But yeah, kind of good. Give me those fantasy points, and then you get them. You're welcome. Like number 1 target. Oh, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce tour. Oh, dog needs fantasy points. All right, let me get some for you. Boom, shakalaka. And then you're like, oh, it went to Kelce? Yes. But if it goes to anybody but Kelce, then you're like, no. Boom. All right, I'm going to go spend some time with my pup, eat some dinner, do some more reading. I don't know if there's anything to watch. Anything sports-wise still going on right now? I'm looking. So Texas 192, and then tomorrow. What are we doing tomorrow? Are we doing Rangers and the Astros game 7, or are we doing Niners and Vikings? I prefer football, but one is a game 7 and one is going to be a blowout after like the first quarter. So what's the primary? Game 7? Or just do fucking NFL? I mean, I'm going to watch both at the same time. I guess one has to be called one way and one gets called another way. I mean, if the Mariners are playing, then you already know we're doing the Mariner game, but I know some people don't give a shit about Rangers and Astros, but I care about history. So, and like, to not watch the Niners, I like watching them. That's like a team I watched and rooted for when I was growing up. If I'm willing to skip that to watch game 7, then it must be good. right? I had to throw a goat up. I don't throw the goats up enough. Split screen. But me growing up, like I said, if I wasn't a Buck fan, like, yeah, I mean, growing up and like the guy that I hung out with that was the toy collector and had the Hot Wheels, and his dad was like a mechanic and worked on like Novas. And I played basketball at his house all the time, and he had a better card collection and figure collection than me. He was a Niner and a Giant fan. I never got the Giants bug from him, but from the Niners, Jerry Rice football and starting lineups and rookie cards and yeah, just like Joe Montana, Jerry, like, when we played catch with the Nerf ball, one was Joe Montana, the other was Jerry Rice. And, good memories. I mean, fucking A, 5 championships, 4 in the 80s, 1 with Steve Young, 4 with Montana. I mean, you ain't replicating that. Went to 4 Super Bowls, never lost. Then Tom and Peyton, won on 2 different teams. And then Brady's got the most. So I guess it just depends on what you value the most out of your quarterbacks. Do you value the most Super Bowl rings? Then you do Tom Brady, unless you're a Patriot fan, or do you do it based off Joe Montana going to 4 and never losing? Do you do it who had higher stats? Do you do it based on who won on 2 different teams and that has a 8 head instead of a 4 head now and Peyton Manning? Like, there's not really a wrong answer. Like whatever direction you go for number 1, if you said, Joe Montana, if you said Peyton Manning, if you said Tom Brady, if you go to any of those names, Joe Montana, like you can all argue, like out of 4 guys, this guy could be considered, it all depends on what you value the most. 2 different teams, going 4 times, never losing, winning the most, or the allegation with the cheating with your coach and organization, does that scale people back? Their opinion, like we do with Hall of Fame baseball players. That's why like Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds are not in the Hall of Fame because we're shunning them because they cheated. We want to keep it pure for guys like Griffey and not have someone in there, even though like McGuire and Clemens and Bonds and Rafael Palmeiro were cool. But once you find out they cheat, you're like, oh, this is not good. I know. I want them to fight. Like I wish I could be there and I just like watch it too. It's like I don't know, man. Something about our division is the best. What I'm saying? Like even though we don't like, them, and it's like the A's are garbage, but they'll go to Vegas and they'll make money and things will be good again. Hopefully they'll get back to like the Jose Canseco days for that franchise. And then Angels are going to be losing probably Trout and Ohtani. Maybe we get them. And then the Mariners are dope. Enough said, right? Pitching, up and coming hitting. We just need to spend some goddamn money with Dipoto. And then obviously the 2 teams that are better than us that we're going to have to get past if we ever want to go to a World Series. So we're going to be battle tested. And that's why when we end up playing those teams and we win, we know we can win the whole thing. That's what's going to make us win the pennant, is like having that experience of having to go through those bastards in 6 or 7 games, them cheating, trying to injure us, throw at our heads, fight us, and then we'll come out on top and then we'll get it done. The Seattle Mariners. Seattle Mariners. It sucks. I can't even do like the Seattle Mariner. Like, come on. No more Mariners? That's depressing. Like not being able to do the Mariners in the playoffs, like a few more games, like do 100 streams of the Mariners, and then all of a sudden, all I want is like some playoff games. Like, but it shows like how hard it is to repeat. You can't get like lackadaisical and just think you're automatically going to go back to the playoffs because you went the year before. Play better, dog. You're my dog, but play better. You're Hall of Fame. Could be one of the top 5 players of this generation. Definitely the top 5 most popular. I mean, pretty soon that jersey is going to be something that's going to be sold nationwide and people are going to be clamoring for it, especially if you have like a 50 or 60 home run season and you go off, 60 stolen bags, fucking 55 home runs, 120 RBIs. Yeah. People will be buying that shit. Got to be better in the box though. Give me some swag. What's better than this? Nothing. What's better than this? Seattle, spinning logo, Julio. We make it look good. I don't know what it is about the Pacific Northwest, but it's like our swagger is on a different level. Like there's swagger out there and like, East Coast swagger, South, Midwest, but we're different out here. Like our vibe is different. Like, we're going to have some of the best players that have ever graced the game. And then they're going to look stylish doing it. Like the swagger that the elite players have in the Pacific Northwest, it's like you're getting an Oregon, Washington, California vibe most of the time. And yeah, it's a vibe altogether. Stud. You might have heard of him. J-Rod. My boy. But just be better, man. More patience. More meetings with Griffey and Ichiro to tell you the way. So Ohtani, and if literally Ohtani goes to Seattle, I don't know if you'll understand it, like what that would mean. That like Pacific Northwest, Asian American representation with Ichiro already being like the OG, like he's so fucking globally, universally loved, but out in the Pacific Northwest, the love we have for like Ichiro type of player is like legendary. Griffey, Edgar, Randy, like Ichiro is right there. Some people could argue that would be the top tier besides Griffey. Like Randy Johnson and Edgar are good, but Griffey Ichiro could be like the best of the best of the best. Like we're never going to see that. And too bad we couldn't get all of them, together at the same time to win, but we will. Oh, baby, we will. Swag. Yeah, and he signed long-term, and obviously with his girlfriend, being soccer player, like, it was, you have some good balance in your life. He's not at the clubs, chasing girls, you know what I mean? He's trying to be focused with her and obviously the game. And I think the more that he dedicates to being the best hitter that he can be, the more tape he watches, the film, the reading, even with the girlfriend, if they like were to watch film together, if that's the only way that he'll be able to go above and beyond, he could go from being like a player that won Rookie of the Year, that kind of disappointed and that was low, and then turned it up and then had a record-breaking few days and then, got hot a few more times, but just wasn't consistent enough for us Mariner fans throughout the whole season. We want to see consistency, not, swinging at anything in the first two pitches. And once that happens, then us Mariner diehards are going to be like, you know what? This guy's an all-star. You know what? This is the next Griffey. You know what? This guy's a Hall of Famer. You know what? Top 5 player. You know what? Top 3 player. Maybe top 2 one day, but not there yet. But the potential is there. And that's what makes the Mariners with the swag. It's like you got guys that not only are good, but they could end up being like icons. And that's cool. Pacific Northwest, baby. Icon. No one will be Griffey, but Julio, baby. All right. Any last photos that you guys want to see, like food or anything else? Comment below. Let me know. And then I'll go for a walk, eat some food, and then read some more, watch some film. But you guys let me know. I wouldn't mind seeing a few things of food before we dip. I need to throw at least one King Griffey Jr. up here. Paisley's coming. She's like, Dad's getting a little bit more quiet. Maybe he's about to wrap up. She knows. She'll come in here. She's like, Daddy. I got to do GOAT status, Griffey and Bones. If you're a true Mariner fan, you know what's up. Like, you can do Griffey, but why just do one when I can do 2? Things are always better with friends. Things are always better with people you care about. You can do it alone. That's fine. But doing it with friends, even better. Even better. Yard waste, garbage day tomorrow, Monday, if you got a house. Yeah, I'm gonna do a few things of food, and then we're gonna dip her because Paisley will miss her dad. And I've been trying to stay disciplined on these 3 walks a day. To do 3 walks a day, to do like an hour to 2 hours a day, that takes a little bit of dedication, but I've fallen in love with being outside. And when you have that, it's like you look forward to it, after you've been doing it for months and months and months. And plus, it's like instead of sitting down and streaming 3, 4, 5 hours, people that do video games or YouTube, it's like you got to be able to, get up, move around, not just sit on a couch or lay down. Definitely looks good. Burgers are bomb, bro. I only get the best of the best. Reflect, you're the man. Appreciate you. Go Huskies. Go Hawks. Go Mariners. Sometimes a good fucking soup, like, it goes a long ways. You can eat fast food and you can eat pizza and tacos and pasta and burgers, but sometimes just like doing a fucking switch up, like think about it. Like the last time you actually had something that was more like a tortilla soup like actually a meal, then you can kind of go to like ramen and like pho and other stuff. But sometimes you got to do like a flip up and a switch up. Get that palate. Go to Flavor Town. Life is short. Make sure you flip it up a little bit, switch it up. Yeah, I know that's always a money one too. We haven't been able to do that in such a long time. It's always good. Good for the soul. I swear, even when you just look at it, like it's just just the vibe. You just feel it, you know what I mean? It's like I'm actually on the beach just chilling. You can hear the photos sometimes, like you can hear the waves crashing in, bouncing against the rocks. Pretty sunset. Start to eat or drink. This is like what Matt gets to live like this, huh? And then when it gets like night, no problem. No problem. Oh, I will. Studs. I'm a fan of ramen in the broth, like a pho. Like it doesn't have to be with noodles. Like I can do whatever, but there's like higher end stuff that you'd be surprised. Like, you can have like just when you think soup, like Campbell's soup, or like when you're sick, like people don't eat that unless there's like a reason. But if you had something like this, you'd be like, oh, well, shit, maybe this would be a meal, a memorable one. Watch a favorite TV show or something. Boom. You're eating a meal, watching one of your favorite shows on like Hulu or Netflix or Prime, and you could like really sit back and just like enjoy it. Life changing. Boom. Oh, for real. I'd be in heaven, dude. I'd be a fat boy. Yeah, I like the chicken katsu too. It's delicious. I like that flavor. Or pollo katsu. Oh, Flavor Town. I like Flavor Town. I like Hawaiian food. I like Asian food, Chinese, Japanese, Thai. I don't care. Give me the flavors, spices, flavors. Give me something. 3 2-hour walks. Not that much. But I do three three. Yeah, it's a full-time job. Yeah. So 3 walks that total an hour and a half to 2 hours typically. But I'm making sure, you got to think she was 10 pounds overweight. If I never got her full time, she'd probably be 20 pounds overweight, maybe diabetes or sick or whatever, not getting exercised or loved. And, to be able to get a dog down to like 15 pounds, when they weigh, maybe 65, 70, and you get them down to about, 50, 55. Normal weight for her is going to be 45 to 60. And I got her to 54.5. So, you have to drop a dog 15 pounds. Think about how much you would have to exercise with a dog to get a dog down. 15 pounds off a dog is like 100 off a human. It's a fucking a lot of effort, but she did awesome. Like, she always likes to explore, and I'll go at night. We'll go during the rain. We don't give no fucks. It's Oregon, no raincoat, no fucking umbrella. We go out there. I got a fucking beanie on and a hoodie. We go out there. I got some shit bags. Let's go fucking have an adventure, So that's what we do. It's not a shit bag. This chicken katsu, and I can taste the crispiness. Paisley right now sneezing. She can taste it too. And then like the sauce. And I'm a sucker for like white rice. Like I'm Asian and whatnot, right? So I'm like Japanese, so I can eat any type of salad or rice or whatever. And I love a damn good pork fried rice. Like I'm a sucker for it. Like if some place has a really, really good one, of course, orange chicken, lemon chicken added on, but then I also have to have the steamed rice. And if you get the high end place that has the rice like on lock, that's like really good, you'll remember it for like rest of your life, because there's so many like cheap places, but there's like some that where you buy a bag and it's not like $10. There's stuff that you buy from like overseas at the special places there. It's like $80 to $120 for a bag of just rice. So imagine the taste on a high-end bag. You're eating $10 rice and there's someone out there eating $150 rice. Probably fucking is amazing, right? You got it, dude. Not JT in the building. What have you been doing, bro? You ready for the NBA on Tuesday? You gonna watch? Have you been watching any sports? How's the kiddos? How's the asshole neighbor with their fucked up family and animals that they don't give a shit about and boundaries they cross every day? Hopefully things are better. I can already see how that situation goes, because that situation for him is never going away unless that person moves. That's shitty. I don't need to live there to know that. When you get an asshole that is like that doesn't even take responsibility for themselves or their dogs or cats, or any type of other animal, not a good look. Bad neighbor. He said, I wish I could move. That guy's a bastard. So I want to punch that guy in the face. I bet you've thought of that many times. Oh, Paisley. Paisley agrees. It's always good to end on a good note, like food. Paisley's like, I need to walk, Dad. Stop looking at all this goddamn food. We're going to Flavor Town. That's what we're doing, Paisley. You would get it. I mean, you're the one that's all in my grill when I eat food every day. Like, no matter what it is, steamed vegetables or rice, or you're right there. That looks good. All right, I'm going to show something here. Some Hawaii jump off. Megs. Todd for the best chicken katsu. And honestly, that looks really good. And why is there so much in there? And why do I not have a Megs like next door? I'd get overweight eating that. That looks amazing. Hawaiian mac is always money too. Pork adobo, fire. Sometimes you look at like photos and you can like kind of smell the photo or like kind of imagine what that bite tastes like. Flavor Town. I like flavors. That's what I'd rather travel and go eat food than go to games. Like go to a Saints game versus the Bucks, or just go and eat food, po' boys and gumbo and crazy shit. Yeah, let's do that. Pork adobo. Yeah, you're on it today. Nice way to end it. So when you look at it like with the Flavor Town, people don't really get the vibe unless you have like the palate or whatever. But then I'll show you. But when you get like a finished product, depending on what kind of marinade, and there's multiple versions, and then you can go something bomb like that. Then you're like, ooh, that looks delicious. There's layers to this. Huh, Paisley? Are you ready for Dad to go for a walk? You ready to spend Dad time? You love Dad? She's like, Dad, I just want more food from you. I can just whine and say I love you, but I just want you to feed me, and let's go on a walk. I said, all right, we will. I know. You're beautiful, and I love you. Oh, God. And then I got the, how you like, I was about to say I found something that could have been like, like money one, but sometimes convert, sometimes not. Then they got like Filipino chicken adobo. You guys did it. Now I'm like hungry. Spend time with Paisley, go for a walk. All right, my dog is getting fed up with me. So I got to find some ribs, and we're going to end it there. Couple photos of ribs to get you motivated for this weekend or in the next couple days when you decide to get ribs, because you know what? It's time. Haven't had them in a while. You got a place that you go to go get some, grocery store, restaurant, place. Grab some if you can. It's that time. Flavor Town. Grill hickory smoked ribs. I know, Paisley. I got these ribs. And then we're gonna. I know, but I mean, you get to eat food. I don't. I just get to look at the photos and then imagine. Flavor Town. Yeah, if I keep going down this, then we're gonna be here forever. Like one after another after another. Oh, that's good. All right. Eagles. I see you. I don't really want to say I was surprised by the ending, but I mean, Dolphins hung around for a little bit, but you can definitely tell, if you got the well-rounded roster, you're going to find a way. Plus Kelly Greens at home. They look awesome. Final score, Eagles 31, Dolphins 17. Eagles improved to 6-1. Dolphins go to 5-2. Appreciate all you guys, everyone that donated, commented, shared. You guys are the best. And we'll be back tomorrow for either the Niners and the Vikings, which I do love football, or we'll do Game 7, Astros and Rangers, and whoever wins goes to the World Series. So we'll figure out, I'll do a poll and then we'll talk about it and then we'll figure out where we go from there. But appreciate everyone that donated, commented, shared, subbed. You guys are awesome, and watching on Twitter/X as well as YouTube. And I appreciate every single one of y'all. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I'm out. Gang.